Heating challenges everywhere. Now we have heat, but it costs some money. So does food, amusement, insurance. Our wallets are getting a workout. But it's worth it to me because we are living in a land of opportunity. That's a cliche, but it's true. And that is my theme this Thanksgiving week. Yes, things can get a bit crazy, but we will get through it. However, next year is not going to be easy either, as many things are going to happen. Just like with the long ago Puritans. But we certainly have more fun than they did. And we don't have to wear those dopey hats. Back in a moment. Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. Going to be in for a gusty and cool day with temperatures back towards the lower 40s, but feels like going to be stuck towards the lower 20s with wind gusts out of the northwest up to 35 miles per hour. Looking mostly sunny for Thanksgiving Thursday, a high of 41 degrees. Friday, mostly cloudy, 38. Then we're going to be seeing late Friday night into Saturday, a chance for snow, switching back over to rain. Temperatures going to be a little bit chillier towards the upper 30s this weekend. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
All the cool people are listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. So, congratulations.
All right, just one more day. Then we get to have Thanksgiving, or for those of you who aren't looking forward to the family gatherings, one more day until you have to deal with Thanksgiving. Hopefully it's the former for you. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. Hope you're having a great Thanksgiving week, at least. We had a really interesting conversation on Tuesday's program. I don't know if you saw that Fox News sort of expose report on the UFO hearings. Stay with me, because this isn't something I normally talk about. Millions of people have watched that at Fox News. Well, Kent Heckenlieven was one of the people interviewed, and he's got a new book out about not even so much about the whole UFO stuff, but about the alleged cover-ups and what are they not telling us. Is it about aliens? Is it about military secrets? Well, there's a lot that we don't know. And Kent was on the program yesterday talking about that. And here's that discussion. And yeah, it went a lot of different directions.
Let's talk about what we're talking about before we get into some of the details. We're not talking about a real life version of, Men in Black or something like that people want to point this to. What is it what are the questions we need answered and why?
Well, what's really interesting is you mentioned that hearing with Grush, Graves, and Fravor, and that's exactly where I came into the story as well, because this is my 20th book, and I've never done anything in the paranormal field. I'm usually looking at corruption in medicine, science, big tech, big media. My last book was on the CIA with a CIA officer and whistleblower, and when I watched that hearing, it just changed me, because I think I've, like most people, I've never had an experience where I've seen anything, but I've got something of a recreational interest in it. I mean, how can you live in a society and not? But when I watched that hearing, I said, this is something significant, because I've written about Congress before. And one of the things that I've known is that you don't get to testify in one of those hearings unless you're very, closely vetted. And I was fortunate enough to have a friend in the UFO community, UFO documentary filmmaker, Michael Mazzola, who's probably the #1 documentary filmmaker in this area. And I called him up and I said, Michael, what the heck is going on here? Because I know lies when I hear them. And one of two things is happening. Either this guy, Grush, and the others are absolute liars, or they're telling us we've been lied to for a very long time. And what Michael told me is that behind the scenes, military and government sources were telling the UFO community that there would be an effort for disclosure, but they wanted to have controlled disclosure. And what they feared was something called catastrophic disclosure. And that just made my ears perk up because, with my background as an attorney, the way I look at the world is you go into a courtroom or you go before Congress and you stand up, you raise your right hand and you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And that wasn't what I was getting in the hearings. What I was getting in the hearings were people saying things like, I can't answer that in this hearing. Oh, I could tell you that, but I need to go into a skiff. Or we would need to go into a skiff, and then I'd need to get permission from the gatekeepers to give you that information. And I just said, whoa, wait a minute. This is not the government I thought I had. And that's when I decided I needed to do a fresh look at the entire UFO issue. And that's what I think that Michael and I have done in catastrophic disclosure.
Okay, so now, by the way, we talk about UFO, it means unidentified is the key word there, flying objects. So, obviously we tend to think, from other planets or other whatever, but other people would say, well, are they just protecting military secrets? Could this be a defense thing? What is it that we suspect we're not being told?
Well, here's what's interesting, because, with my background as an attorney, I really reserve judgment for what's going on. So, I play out in my mind various scenarios. So when I saw those hearings, I said to myself, okay, one perspective is, all right, these are members or former members of the intelligence communities. Okay, that's one thing. And you want me to believe that these former members of the intelligence community went and asked permission from their bosses to be able to testify in front of Congress. So I'm thinking to myself, well, that looks sketchy. Are we supposed to believe that these former spooks are now telling us the truth? And so, I had a skepticism about them. But then I was also saying, well, those are exactly the people who I would expect to know the truth. But it's sort of a catch-22, because you have to ask yourself the question, are these former spooks telling the truth now about the lies in the past, or are they lying to us now about things that went on in the past? And so I kind of asked myself, what's the game plan here? Because if this is all fake, that's a huge story that our intelligence agencies are participating in this incredible psyop on the public. So regardless of where it went, I knew that there was a story there. I'm just not certain exactly what the story is.
Producer Jerome's, thank you again for joining us today, Kent. So one of the things that you just touched on that I think is really significant as well is the question a lot of people that are at least skeptical or lean into the idea of UAPs being, potentially extraterrestrial is, why now? I remember back in high school, I believe it was a leader of the Canadian Air Force said, yeah, we totally know UAP technology exists and it's not ours. And so more people have been coming out. And then you have what's called the 3-1 Atlas. I believe we've identified as an asteroid now, but for a while, a lot of the news sources, including a Harvard researcher, was saying it's an alien mothership coming to Earth. So when we were speaking of the PSYOP element, there's a conspiracy, for lack of a better term, called Project Bluebeam. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but do you think that this is the early stages of that, or is it just another case of mass hysteria? This is a classified program that people are observing, or even foreign technology that we're not privy of, and it's just being misidentified by people not in the know?
Well, one of the things that I did in this book was I said to myself, okay, I don't know this field, but my co-author, Michael, is deep into this field. So I said, we need to go interview some of the leading figures in the UFO community, people like Dr. Stephen Greer, people like constitutional lawyer Danny Sheehan. I did a nice interview with independent journalist Michael Schellenberger. I've become close to Congressman Eric Burleson, who's doing this. And the fear of many in the UFO community has been that the aliens are real, they are not a threat, but our intelligence agencies are going to begin a campaign to panic the public that these creatures and this phenomenon is dangerous to justify huge military spending in order to justify, their action. So the question is whether this is all part of an exaggerated alien threat in which they'll give us some information and seek to terrify us. Now, you mentioned 3-Eye Atlas, and I just went on Fox News to give, to throw cold water on the idea that this was an alien ship. And, you have to question when people like a Harvard astronomer, Avi Loeb, come out and very publicly say, oh, there's a 30 to 40% chance that this is an alien ship. And then you go and look at what planetary scientists are saying, like the group from the University of Pennsylvania, people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and they say to themselves, look, this is only the third interstellar object we've ever observed. So yes, it's going to have some unique characteristics, but in no way is there any reasonable possibility that's an alien ship. So you ask yourself, why are people like a Harvard astronomer going so beyond the evidence? And it fits into this alien threat narrative. So I don't know if this entire effort is just part of a psyop to convince people that aliens represent a threat and we have to spend billions of dollars to defend ourselves against them, or if this effort for disclosure is being led by honest people who are hoping that we can do something positive for the world by telling the truth about what's been going on for the past 80 years. I still don't have an answer to that question.
I'll parrot Senator John Kennedy a little bit. I think that if there are aliens from other galaxies that are coming by here, they'll probably take one look at the neighborhood on Earth and lock the windows as they go by.
Yeah. And, it's kind of interesting because I say to myself, if there are aliens, what are their intentions toward us? Because I ask the question, any intelligence that rises to dominate its planet will probably have gone through a number of things like human beings have. We are not so different from the creatures from which we evolved. I mean, when you look at chimpanzee societies, for example, there is war. I think there are certain negative things that come along with intelligence, and I wouldn't be surprised if these aliens exist, whether they might not have a number of shameful things in their past as well.
All right. The book is called Catastrophic Disclosure, The Deep State, Aliens, and the Truth. And we find that, Kent, and if people want to connect with you, they do it how and where?
The book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold. And you can check out me at my website, KentHeckenLivelyBooks.com.
All right. Got some thoughts on that? Shoot us a note on social media. All right. Don't forget our food drive, by the way, is in full swing right now. You're probably getting a lot of your deliveries for your holiday gifts, your Christmas gifts coming right now. Hey, save one of those boxes. This is my challenge. And I've said this a few times, and I'm going to say it a few more. This is the challenge. Save one of those boxes and say, I'm going to fill that with non-perishable food for the food drive that News Talk STL and the St. Louis County GOP Central Committee are teaming up in order to benefit Feed My People right here in St. Louis. More details at newstalkstl.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures. That what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
Nothing offers an opportunity to bond and give thanks quite like breaking bread together. This is especially true as we welcome our troops back home and keep those who are still stationed overseas in our hearts. Hi, I'm Gary Sinise. Since 2011, the Gary Sinise Foundation's Serving Heroes program has shown gratitude to our nation's defenders and their families by serving up nearly 500,000 hearty classic American meals at travel hubs and military locations. And now, together with our friends at Bob Evans Farms and their Our Farm Salutes program, we will help to provide even more meals nationwide, offering our defenders a taste of home and the feeling of togetherness around the table. Help us show America's gratitude through food and fellowship. Look for the Bob Evans Our Farm Salutes purple packaging at your grocery store and visit ourfarmsalutes.com to learn more. While we can never do enough to support the men and women who serve, together we can make a difference, bite by bite.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
You can take these facts. I know for a fact. It's just about time.
It's not now. When?
Oh, there's just so much to say and not enough time to say it or do it.
I'm sorry. This is our country. This is the country that you and I love.
I'm kind of not surprised.
Man, that's what they need.
Very upset.
A lot of fear.
I agree with that, and well, who couldn't agree with it? It's a fact.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
We'll prevail.
All right, see the tunnels. Mike's got to be around here somewhere.
I'm here.
Again, why?
I know.
We can't keep you out of here.
I know. I'm taking the day off here. I've done. Listen, Tim's going to be here in a few minutes. Tim and Susie are going to handle it from here. But I want to at least set up a nice show for him. Just say it.
You ruined the carpets. It looks like you were trying to Mission Impossible your way through the vents when I came in.
I know. Well, the boss didn't hear yet, but the insurance covers that, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, fair enough.
That's how that rolls. All right. Okay, so we just had that played that conversation we had with Kent Heckenlively. And that were heckin' lively, I guess you should say. And so it's funny because, man, that caught a lot of traction, that discussion we had with him about the UFOs and the space aliens and what are they hiding. It's the perfect storm of they're not telling us what's going on.
Which, unfortunately, they're not. I mean, don't just take my word for it. I mean, we're at that point now where, not to spook people and have people think little green men are running around, but I think that for some reason, this seems to be over the past few years, it seems to be when everybody wants to come forward out of the woodwork saying, by the way, I'll whistle blow. By the way, I saw something. And unfortunately, though, with how long it's been going on, it's like, as to Kent's point, can we really trust them that they're not lying about this like they lied about before?
But see, that's the thing is with this, like, it's almost like the running joke traditional history. We just assume they're lying to us. I mean, that's just the reality. You just go back, historical event after historical event and historical event. And there are some goofy theories out there. Don't get me wrong. There really are. And some of them turn into fantastic sci-fi movies. Some of them turn into really crappy sci-fi movies. And then everyone's sort of like, well, wait a minute. Is there something to that? And even for those who like say, you know what, we are the only living beings out in the universe. There's nothing else out there. Okay. We don't have any proof that we're not, as far as we know. But there's others who say, well, wait a minute. Could there be advanced technology from another nation that we need to be aware of? Because remember, UFO means unidentified flying object. It doesn't necessarily mean little green men from wherever, but not saying that there couldn't be. I think it's kind of arrogant for us to say, well, there's no possible way that there's life anywhere else. Now, doesn't mean I believe that there is, but I'm not saying I believe that there's not. I don't necessarily know why we would think that we are the only living beings that could possibly exist anywhere in a universe that we have no hope of ever finding the ends of.
I'm going to be real with you, Mike. I'm not saying E.T. was a documentary, but I am saying Transformers absolutely was a documentary.
There you go. Okay. That's right. All right. So anyway, you can check out that conversation on our podcast, which, by the way, that's a fun one as you go into the holidays, because you know what, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Just have a good time. Now I know Tim and Susie have got these are two really brainy people, so there's going to be a lot of stuff covered. Matter of fact, that ruling that dismissed the indictments against James Comey and Letitia James, that appeal was filed like first thing yesterday morning, literally just probably minutes after we talked to Keith Gross about that as well.
Oh, you got to ruin our interviews by doing stuff while we're on air after we have to get. Okay, I understand. I get it. Now, real quick though, so a lot of people, when it comes to Thanksgiving, the general rule of the land is no politics. But would you consider UAP talk political?
Well, I would say on the surface, no. I think you can have that conversation without getting into the politics.
Do you have any suggestions? Because your whole thing is when you're not at work, you don't really talk politics. That's how you maintain a functional, healthy baseball life.
I tell people I'm off duty.
Yeah, I can't even get a hold of you on weekends sometimes to talk about politics. So what are your approved list of things to talk about with the family this Thanksgiving?
Okay, so because I'm going to have one of those family gatherings where there are going to be people there that I don't know well. Basically, my daughter's boyfriend's family.
Oh.
Yeah, because they're kind of getting to that point. So I don't really know them. So I'm going to avoid politics at all costs. I'm going to be spending whatever my part of the conversation is, asking them to tell me about them. And so the subject will be them. And if they decide to go into political thing, I'm a pretty good communicator after 30 years. I can sidestep stuff because I don't want to argue politics, and they may not be political at all. I just don't know them.
Now, is it an appropriate response if especially because similar things, some of my cousins have boyfriends now or girlfriends now, and we're all getting together. We don't know, but if they bring up politics first, is it appropriate to send them a replay of Mike Ferguson in the morning?
Always. That's a standard rule. Is always good.
I'm not going to talk to you about it now, but you should check this out.
And
listen
if
to
you
this.
hate what's said, it's that guy. I will take it all. I'm just saying. No, I mean, because I'm sure that, when they know I'm sure they know what I do for a living. So it could very well, come up, but I have no problem going, it's a holiday, what's your favorite sports team? That kind of thing. That I personally, if your entire family is all on the same page, great, have at it. You can bond. Otherwise, don't be afraid to go. It's the holiday. We can get back to arguing over stuff on Monday.
I wish I was that mature. and you know me quite well. But when you get into my zone, when you get in my lane, and then you're wrong, it's like it would be amoral of me not to correct you in front of everybody and cause a scene. So
Make an appointment to have coffee on Friday.
Coffee on Friday.
And say, let's finish this conversation then. I got some thoughts you may want to consider.
You're a very good mediator. I never knew that about you.
Just saying. When you think peacemaker, you think me.
When I think you, I think a lot of things. But now I know peacemaker is one of them. So
all right. Tim Jones coming to work with Susie, and they're going to take it, and with Jerome, they're going to take it from here. So thanks. I'm heading out of here. I'm taking another day off. I'll see y'all on Tuesday.
Watch out for glowing lights. Watch out for crop circles, and watch out for guys wearing black suits and sunglasses, Mike.
Exactly.
Chris Arps here, and I'm thankful for my relationship with Christ, my wonderful wife, Becky, and the opportunity to speak to the great listeners of News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo, and as we approach another holiday season, I am thankful that my family continues to be happy and healthy. Oh, and I'm also glad I don't work for George Soros.
News Talk STL, celebrating family and friends this season of Thanksgiving. Brought to you by Candici's, Parlor Donuts, and Amis Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hi, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, capitalism, that is increasingly under attack. But why is the free market system so important?
The simple answer, society is much better off because of free markets. Free markets allow individuals and business owners to freely choose what to consume, how to save, where to live and do business, what to produce, and how to protect our valuable resources, and so much more. And this can all happen without requiring heavy government interference. In a nutshell, free markets empower people to live their lives the way they choose. And this makes all our lives better.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931.
HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rick Thomason. President Trump is sounding upbeat about prospects for a revised peace proposal aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. The president says what he calls good talks have been had with both sides, Ukraine and Russia. One issue that remains outstanding, though, is the location of a revised Ukraine-Russia border. Hospital officials in Gaza say that Israel has handed over 15 more Palestinian bodies, completing the latest swap of the ceasefire. The first phase of the agreement nears a conclusion. This comes a day after the Palestinians returned the remains of an Israeli hostage who the Israeli military says was killed in the October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel. On this busy Thanksgiving holiday travel day, winter-like weather is complicating things across some regions.
A winter storm across the northern part of the country. That's impacting North Dakota, Minnesota, including Minneapolis, and then portions of the northern Great Lakes. And that's going to bring accumulating snowfall into the day Wednesday.
Mark Chenard at the National Weather Service. Some interstates have been closed by heavy snow and high winds. The official start of winter is still close to a month away. Nothing's been announced just yet, but President Trump is getting closer to naming his pick to head up the Federal Reserve.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent wrapped up a second round of interviews this week for a new Fed chair, and he told CNBC there was a good chance the president would announce his pick before Christmas. Meanwhile, Bloomberg News reported that White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett is seen by allies and presidential advisors as the frontrunner. Donald Trump has been sharply critical of Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, whose leadership term expires in May. Greg Clugston, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow futures up 47 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 94. The S&P futures 17 points higher. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-367-2816. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-367-2816. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-367-2816. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-367-2816 or biglou.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. Going to be in for a gusty and cool day with temperatures back towards the lower 40s, but feels like we'll be stuck towards the lower 20s with wind gusts out of the northwest up to 35 miles per hour. Looking mostly sunny for Thanksgiving Thursday, high of 41 degrees. Friday, mostly cloudy, 38. Then we're going to be seeing late Friday night into Saturday, a chance for snow, switching back over to rain. Temperatures going to be a little bit chillier towards the upper 30s this weekend. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Attorney General Bondi says she's going to appeal the Comey and Letitia James cases. We'll ask legal eagle Zach Smith about the efficacy of that at 4:20.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Big guy, one of the biggest in the world.
Susie Moore.
Do you think he's ready?
He's not ready. St. Louis.
I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be playing for everything.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, get up. This is your cousin.
Well, good morning. We got a song?
It's already one of those.
Good morning. We got a song?
Did we decide on that?
We'll come back with
We
that.
can
song.
set it up.
Hey, hi.
Good morning, my morning people.
It's Thanksgiving.
Y'all are ridiculous getting up
That's
this morning,
right.
this early.
Susie Moore here for the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, and with my special guest co-host Tim Jones, who could probably do this in his sleep, but he's awake right now.
For the moment, I am. It's great to be here with you all. I did a morning show for about 3.5 years. It almost killed me. And I'm back again. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We'll explain that for you youngins who don't understand what we're talking about.
We'll get to that. We have so much packed into this show. I don't know how we're going to fit it in. We have lots of guests coming up. We're going to talk to our Alaska man, Ward Clark. That's right. Ward Clark, who lives in Alaska, who's like 3 or 4 hours behind us, is going to join us at 6:35. Believe it or not.
Wow.
We're going to talk to him, see what's going on up in the Great Land. At 7:05, we're going to talk to Nick Schroer. He's got some interesting information about some weird texts that were going out. And then at 7:35, we're going to talk to Bill Eigel. He wants to talk to us a little bit more about some of his property tax plans for St. Charles. We've got lots of guests. We've got lots of stuff to talk about. We've got turkey to talk about, and we've even got a turkey song.
Love to eat turkey. Love to eat turkey. I love you. Love to eat turkey, 'cause it's good. Love to eat turkey like a good boy should, 'cause it's turkey to eat. So good. That clapping's messing my head up, man.
The great Adam Sandler with the famous turkey song. Yes.
How can you top that? Yeah, you were like, oh, do you guys know this song? And I'm like, love to eat turkey. Yeah, it came right back to me.
I was confusing it because it is only it is 6 o'clock in the morning. I was confusing it with another song, the dreidel. Is it the dreidel song?
He does have a dreidel song too.
Okay, so I was confusing that. So I do know the turkey song, but he sings another famous song where he talks about, doesn't he talk about all the famous people who you don't know that are Jewish,
Jewish Jew. Yes.
Yes.
I think that is the dreidel song.
Something like that, where he goes through this long list of people. I remember that he goes, and even Rod Carew. You know, it's almost the same as the turkey song.
Well, Adam Sandler's melodies are not necessarily the most original. He kind of just does the little sing-songy thing. It kind of reminds me of like songs my dad used to make up to me, like when I was a little kid.
As you can tell from the crowd, though, they loved that song. That was a later rendition of that song when everybody knew what it was.
Yes.
Back in the days, though, he was on Saturday Night Live quite a bit, and he would come back and co-host and guest host and all that kind of stuff. And I remember the setup to that song where he said, you know, we Jews don't really celebrate Christmas, as you all know, so we don't really have a whole host of Christmas songs. But boy, do we love Thanksgiving. And you may have never heard of this extremely famous Jewish Thanksgiving Day song. And the whole thing was a joke, of course, and it was the turkey song.
There you go. It's perfect. It's the perfect way to celebrate this Wednesday before Thanksgiving, this Thanksgiving Eve. We do have some news to talk about.
Oh, we have to do news?
We don't have to do news.
Okay.
I'm just going to throw out a couple of the highlights because there are some things happening still, although I just probably jinxed it. I was going to say it's probably going to be a quiet news day.
We hope that, but it usually doesn't end up being the case these days.
Yeah, I know. But we got a little bit of news to talk about.
Is it time for news dump?
Let's do a news dump.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right. My question: what's up with Alfred? The trial, the quo warranto trial of Alfred Montgomery has wrapped. They gave their closing arguments yesterday, and now it is with the judge who said he will rule fairly quickly because he recognizes the importance of it. But I wouldn't be surprised if he takes the Thanksgiving holiday to kind of compose his thoughts and come up with his opinion on what he's going to do. It ended with accusations by the defense that this was all just an abuse of the process, and he shouldn't be removed. But
so are you saying that the judge might take the holidays to kind of reflect on some things and take the sweet time needed to actually go over the details of the case?
He might. He might relish the yeah. No.
Is it maybe a good case to not commit crimes, especially close to the holidays?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's a good idea. Tim, I don't know if you've had much, interest in what's going on with Alfred.
Passing
interest. Yeah.
The whole thing, Susie, to me seems like another tragic chapter in the ongoing tragedy known as the city of St. Louis.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well,
So I think a lot of us just kind of shake our heads and go, well, there they, as
There they go
the
again.
Gipper would say, well, there they go again. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
We'll dig into it just a little bit more a little bit after this. But there's another big rumor thing swirling around D.C. Could one of Missouri's own be headed to an even more prominent position in the Trump administration?
Andrew Bailey has been discussed as someone who could have possibly been in the Trump administration cabinet from the early days. Remember, about a year ago, I remember exactly where I was. I was at a conference, as I'm wont to do. I'm a big conference guy, out in Lake Tahoe. And I was driving up to Lake Tahoe, and this news report came on because the Trump administration had not yet determined who the attorney general was going to be. And the rumors were swirling that it might be Andrew Bailey because he had taken a little plane ride down to a place called Mar-a-Lago, White House South, as the Trump administration was putting together all of their cabinet picks. And so his name was very much in the mix. He ultimately did not get the position, but here we are. Isn't this amazing? Since he won, and everyone was like, oh, he was never a serious consideration, blah, 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 and so forth. Barely 1 year later, Andrew Bailey is now one step closer to that job that he was originally rumored to have gotten because he is now in D.C. He is working for the Trump administration.
Right.
He is under Kash Patel at the FBI.
Deputy director at the FBI. So there were two different rumors that went swirling yesterday. One was that he might replace Kash Patel.
Correct.
And that was, I think MS Now was reporting on that. And when the report came out, it just so happened Kash Patel was in the Oval Office with Donald Trump. And so Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary,
so the ultimate troll,
brings this to their attention. She's like, oh, did you hear that you're out? And so they took a big picture smiling and grinning with their thumbs up for the camera, like fake news.
So, Susie, do you think these rumors are so look, there's two types of rumors, right? The ones that are absolutely concocted by the media, and then there's the ones that actually have grains of truth in them and might be heading towards some kind of reality. Which one do you think this is? Because this has been for ever since Kash Patel was approved for his nomination. Ever since he was approved, there's been rumors that he's going to be on the outs.
Yeah.
So I can't decide whether to believe this or not.
No, I don't think this one's true at all.
Okay.
There are other rumors that perhaps Bailey will be tapped to replace Pam Bondi.
Yeah. And I think this whole thing has been a bit of a Trump administration psyop,
little trial balloons,
where they've let the focus be on Patel. But I've been arguing from the beginning that Bondi has been the one that's made the more missteps and mishaps.
Yeah.
Beginning with the Epstein files, which I know you guys have been covering it quite a bit. I personally couldn't give much of a flying rip about the Epstein files because I'm like, okay,
really?
Well, because look, they were released. The law, we literally had an act of Congress pass over a week ago. So have we got Trump yet? Did we get Trump yet?
Right.
You know, have they been released? Is he gone yet? See, I think the thing was a political cudgel used by the Democrats, and that they'll never get Trump on the Epstein files because there's nothing in the Epstein files to get Trump with.
Well, okay, but to be fair, though, Pam Bondi confirmed that they were flagging his name in the files and redacting them, though. Is that not... Because for me, it's like, I can understand that there's probably not an organized spreadsheet in Excel with all of the people. He's like, okay, these are my abusers with me. These are just people I'm business with. I can understand that. But when you have somebody going through and redacting your name from the files, it doesn't necessarily make it look very good.
I would ask, what context was he referenced, though? Was he at a party with 5,000 people and Epstein and Trump happened to be in the same room together? Or is there some kind of alleged illicit activity? I think what Trump was doing with the Epstein files was he was protecting other powerful people on both sides of the aisle, and he didn't want to hurt people unnecessarily.
Right.
And maybe, how about this altruistic motive? Maybe protecting some of the victims as well and dragging all their names through the mud.
Yeah, just an interesting little aside on that. They have 30 days to release the information from when the act passed, and the DOJ has gone back to the courts for Epstein and Maxwell for those cases and asked, okay, we asked you to unseal these? We're asking you again now that there's an act of Congress telling us to do this. So those judges have that under submission as well. It's something to keep in mind.
50 years later, we still may be talking about this, just like with JFK.
We may still be. I do want to talk about something else that's kind of important. We've still got the food drive going on, the NewsTalkSTL food drive with the St. Louis County GOP. I have a really funny, really quick story to tell about that. Have you ever heard of the Fetch app?
No.
Okay, it's an app where you can track your receipts and stuff like that, and you get little points, and then you get discounts on things. So, fortunately, they're totally spying on you. Whatever, I don't care. I have it, and sometimes you have to scan the barcodes. Well, I brought in a bunch of food the other day for the food bin outside the NewsTalkSTL station here, which you can do that too. And I forgot to scan the thing. So yesterday I went into the food bin and I pulled out the item, scanned it, and there was a guy walking by, and I'm like, he totally thinks I'm stealing from the food bin. So I promise I was not. Anyway, we've got a food bin outside the door here at NewsTalkSTL. We've got them all across the St. Louis area. Chris's Pancakes House, Michael's, Bartolino's. Please bring your non-perishable items and help us support feedmypeople.org.
Susie Moore.
You said thank you once. In this entire meeting, have you said thank you?
On Newstalk STL.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris. How are you, Vic? I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need to understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. JC's Wayback Machine.
Well, we had a little technical problem last weekend and didn't get a new show on, but that's all fixed now. So this Saturday night, you'll get the Thanksgiving show complete with Steve Martin talking about the great John Candy and the making of planes, trains, and automobiles, plus Arlo and a bunch of great music that doesn't get played on the radio anymore. Brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9, Newstalk STL.
Hey, folks, Jamie Allman here for Newstedter's Fine Jewelry right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend. WowDiamonds.com. It's Wow Diamonds for a reason. These are beautiful lab-grown diamonds. They are gorgeous. They will blind you when you walk in and see them, but that's a good thing. Great engagement sets, wedding sets, all these beautiful God-created gems, sapphires, rubies, you name it, garnets, and also all the gold you need, and the famous bull of a watch. WowDiamonds.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
If you can't, then it doesn't matter anyway. You will never understand it because it happens too fast. And it feels so good, it's like walking the glass.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
He's talking and he's not talking. It's so strange.
So weird to hear myself.
So
always.
That
weird.
voice sounds super familiar. I wonder.
Never gotten used to that
Super
after
duper familiar.
15 years or so.
It is
Yes,
weird. I know.
yes.
So I'm like, oh, that's me. It's like it's magic. Well, this is magic. We're here with you on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving to kind of help ease you into the holiday. As I said, we've got lots of news stories to cover. I wanted to start out, though, talking locally. We started kind of talking about this in the last segment. So the quo, why am I having trouble saying that? Quo warranto.
That usually just rolls right off your lips.
I know.
Yeah.
Quo warranto.
There you go.
The trial to see if Alfred Montgomery will be removed from his position as sheriff of the city of St. Louis has wrapped. They did their closing arguments yesterday. To me, the most interesting aspect
Susie,
of
is this the civil case?
This is the civil case.
Okay.
This is it's not federal. This is state. It's in front of a city judge, and it's to see whether or not Alfred keeps his position while his criminal trial is proceeding.
Which is the much more serious one.
Way more serious. No, this is just do you keep your job or not?
Mhm.
And for me, the interest has been more because I'm not a city resident and I don't work in the city anymore. I mean, of course, I have a passing interest in what's going on with the sheriff there, but my real interest is because I know the players involved in terms of the attorney representing him and the judge overseeing the case. These are people that I practiced in front of for years because Dave Mason, who is the attorney for Alfred Montgomery, used to be a city judge. And so it's been fun watching like clips of them in the news and sort of the little back and forth banter and excerpts of some heated moments in the courtroom. And I'm like, ooh.
And
I know
who
those
is
people.
the judge overseeing
Steve
them?
Omer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And he and Mason know each other from way back.
These have been two fellows that have been around practicing law for decades.
Correct. And
they know each other extremely personally well.
Yes.
Have probably done battle many times and are probably like the Roadrunner and the Coyote friends after they clock out every night.
I'm sure that they are. Yeah, they would have been colleagues for decades. But things have gotten a little heated during the trial
because the attorney is going to zealously represent his client and the judge is going to do everything he can to be a fair arbiter.
Yes. And so I think, we're going to see, like I predicted he wasn't going to rule from the bench. Of course he did not. And I think we're going to see probably, a multi-page decision coming out from him when he does issue it. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out next week. I don't think it's going to be before Thanksgiving, though.
So just to clarify things for all of our non-lawyer listeners, basically this is a civil action with a big fancy Latin
quo warranto
word attached to it, and it's to simply remove the sheriff from his elected position, which is what we would say in the law an extraordinary measure.
It is.
But if he has committed extraordinary wrongs, then that would be warranted.
Right. And the issue, of course, is he hasn't been convicted yet. So this is, is this the cart before the horse? But he's in jail. He can't do his job because he's in jail. And they're saying, well, they're keeping him in jail, so he can't do his job. It's a catch-22. But I mean, I think there's some legitimate reasons as to why he's being kept in jail because there were allegations of witness tampering and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of a catch-22 for him. It's very similar to what was done as the AG's office brought the case against to remove Kim Gardner.
Everybody remembers that.
Yes. So this is the same type of proceeding, and I think we should probably know probably I would guess next week whether he gets the boot or not.
And this kind of falls under the overall umbrella, right, of the city's primary problem, which is providing a safe environment where we practice law and order.
Yeah. Well,
and just normal processes and procedures. If you can't fill the potholes and pick up the trash on time and shovel the snow, so to speak, then everything else kind of falls apart or by the wayside.
Yeah, this is true. And, I think the new mayor is doing her best to get us back to a point where those basics are being covered. We'll see how this winter goes. That'll be interesting. But the thing about the sheriff's office, too, is, people think, oh, law and order, crime in the city. Well, the sheriff's office doesn't really oversee like law enforcement. They're more like they're serving subpoenas. They're transporting prisoners. They're, the bailiffs in the court system, that sort of thing. So they're law enforcement related, but it's not like they're the ones hunting down the criminals. But what their function is extraordinarily important. And you need a person leading that department who is there and who is, ethical.
Yeah, they help handle the administration of justice, right? Which is it again, if you can't run the railroad on time, then everything bottles up, crashes, burns, and falls apart.
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing that this is the point we've come to in the city of St. Louis, where if we can't get the basics right, then forget about anything else. And the reason we got here is because city leadership, most of whom are gone now. Isn't that amazing? We're sitting here in November of 2025. No Kim Gardner, no Tashara Jones, and no Cori Bush. So does that mean we've hit rock bottom and we're bouncing back the other way? I'm not maybe,
so.
But a little tiny bounce, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, so when was the last time you heard anything in the news about, is it Gabe Gore that took over?
Gabe Gore, true.
Nothing. You haven't heard anything.
A good thing.
That's a good thing. That means he's doing his job, and that means that there's not a lot of controversy coming out of the circuit attorney's office.
Right. Instead of engaging in all this emotional brouhaha like they're doing right now in Chicago, where every day it's all about reimagining justice and figuring out new ways to they don't call it defunding anymore, but whatever they're doing with the police these days, right? All of these pie in the sky, socialist, utopian, ridiculous visions that will never come to pass. And so when you spend all your time dreaming about things that will never actually function or work in reality, then you forget about basic services in the administration of justice, and the foundations of your society fall apart. And I heard a really good description as to why the left does this last night from one of the men that the left loves to loathe the most, Stephen Miller.
I knew
You know I was going to say that.
Uh-huh.
And he called it these, it's a tough word to say, especially this word early in the morning, the Somaliazation of the United States of America.
Oh,
right. Like basically what they're doing up in Minnesota. Right. And of course the left will consider this a racist comment. It's not, but it's much easier to rule over an empire of ash than it is to try to rule in a construct of a constitutional republic where you only are a ruler due to the consent of the governed, right? Versus it's much easier to rule over a place that's been completely and utterly demolished, and then you come in and just kind of kick around the rocks and the ashes every so often.
Right. Interesting. I think I understand that point. And I do think, I think we're seeing maybe that things are starting to turn around. But
At least
obviously,
here.
Yeah. But obviously there's a long way to go. And, we'll see what happens with his case. I did want to mention this because I think we talked about this on the show last Friday. It was breaking news during the show. There was this shooting at Lambert Airport in Terminal 1. It was a fatality. They've identified the man who was shot, Darius Kennedy, 31. He apparently was carrying a knife when officers approached him. They ordered him to drop it. They deployed a taser and he didn't comply. And so that's when they shot him and then he was killed. We don't know a whole lot about his background, but it sounds like he was probably homeless and maybe had some mental health issues. So it's a tragic situation all the way around.
The people that the Democrats say they want to care for the most are the ones that seem
pay
to
the
get
price.
the most left behind.
They do. And it's just, it's terribly, terribly sad. The family has, I think, started a GoFundMe page to kind of help try and pay for the burial expenses and that sort of thing. But it's a horrible situation. And also, just think about people, this is the busiest travel day of the year. You're going to be in the airport. You don't want to think that there's going to be any sort of, you don't want there to be a shooting. You don't want there to be anything like this.
It's the last thing that would come to your mind or should come to your mind in a civilized society.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that we don't live in a fully civilized society.
But at least we're not Chicago.
We are not that. Another follow-up, we just had Billy Crowan sitting in the other day.
Yes.
And he was talking about the Festus City Council's moves about maybe approving a data center. And they took another step forward on that Monday night. They approved annexation for it. This is just a preliminary move. And there were protesters there. There was a little hubbub about it, but they have taken a step forward for that. So I did want to follow up on that since we talked about it when Billy was here with us.
I'm of the mind that we better be doing data centers or the Chinese are going to crush us on that as well. And I believe there's a proper time and a place for data centers. You got to locate them in the right place. They have to have the right access to the right resources. You cannot impact the local population. So put them in a place with the infrastructure around it where it makes sense.
Yes.
But if we run and hide from things like this, then we're going to end up in the same place we are right now on things like rare earth minerals, right? We have plenty of rare earth minerals in this country, but we've decided to handcuff ourselves and not harvest them because they're in places primarily like California.
Now, should I get my hopes up too much, or should I squash it now with thinking that maybe this will be what it takes to get us a step closer to nuclear energy? Because, I mean, when you have so much going on with AI and so much going on with data centers, that requires a lot of energy.
I think that's reasonable hope. I think we're seeing it's more accepted now than it used to be. And there, it's cleaner technology. I think that you're going to see more of a push for it, and that would make sense because you need that extra boost.
And again, Jerome, we've been stuck in the mud on that as well. I'm a huge believer in that as well. We were discussing small modular reactors, SMRs, back in 2012 when I was in the Missouri House, and I have not seen a lot of activity on them. But Jerome, I think in conjunction with data centers, people are going to have to look at nuclear as something that's going to power those, because you can't have the lights on without something to turn them on indeed. And if everybody's worried about energy sources, nuclear, especially the new nuclear, I think is the way to go.
Yep. I'm right there with you. When we come back, we're going to be talking to our Alaska man, Ward Clark. And I should let you all know that there is wintry precipitation set to return to the St. Louis region over the weekend. Just so you know, we'll be back right after this on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Doesn't matter anyway, you will never understand it, cause it happens too fast, and it feels so good, it's like walking the glass.
Susie Moore.
Gratitude's an excellent practice, man. And I think that you can allow yourself happiness if you're grateful.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. Going to be in for a gusty and cool day with temperatures back towards the lower 40s, but feels like going to be stuck towards the lower 20s with wind gusts out of the northwest up to 35 miles per hour. Looking mostly sunny for Thanksgiving Thursday, high of 41 degrees. Friday, mostly cloudy, 38. Then we're going to be seeing late Friday night into Saturday, a chance for snow, switching back over to rain. Temperatures going to be a little bit chillier towards the upper 30s this weekend. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Cap Pastrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, what would this have been? Mid-90s. Yeah. And I was I worked at Grant's Farm and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Porcelli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Mark Sutherland, founder of Stone Ledge Distillery, and I'd like to give you a bottle of Stolock whiskey or Inversion vodka. Just register now at NewsTalkSTL.com and come experience what Missouri Ozark Highlands craftsmanship really tastes like. At our tasting room in historic Defiance, you'll enjoy Stolock whiskey, Inversion vodka, and other Missouri-made spirits, wine, and craft beer in a beautiful cocktail lounge, our cigar room, or out on the patio every weekend. And right now, win a bottle of Stolock or Inversion at NewsTalkSTL.com. Come raise a glass in Defiance.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station. This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Something's got to go tonight. Doing all she can, alright. Come on, can't you see?
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, here I am. It's funny how that works. Welcome back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL. Susie Moore here for Mike. We got Tim Jones in the studio with us. We got producer Jerome. And we also now have on the line the one and only Alaska man, Mr. Ward Clark. Ward, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Susie. Thanks for having me on this dark early.
I was going to say,
morning.
it's not bright and early. It's early, but it's not bright and early there. When do you get sunrise there?
It's nearing 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And the sun's setting right now a couple of minutes before 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And we're still 3 weeks away from the winter solstice.
And it's what, 3:30 for you right now?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So, well, we appreciate you joining us on this dark and early morning. I wanted to have you on because there's a couple of things that you've written on lately that I thought would be really interesting to discuss, not least of which is the fact that we keep seeing these sort of like roundups, these sweeps where, the either FBI or Department of Homeland Security are basically rounding up criminal illegal aliens. And we just had another sweep in San Antonio where they netted 51 confirmed Trinidad criminals. And you wrote on that, and I wanted to get a little bit more information about that from you.
Well, it's interesting. These things keep happening, and it's great that they're doing this. San Antonio is a city that has a kind of a funny little soft spot in my heart because I was stationed there twice for different training, and Fort Sam Houston when I was going through Army medical training, and I'm glad to see that they're getting these people off the streets. What's interesting though is we're not seeing what's becoming of them. Are they being repatriated? I hope sent back to where they belong.
We can
Or are
hope.
they, are they being processed is the trouble is I'm worried they're being processed like so many criminals in these cities are processed. They're booked and arraigned and put right back out on the street.
Well, it would be interesting to follow up on that. I know the Trump administration, I think, has been trying not to do that, and obviously, every time they try to try to repatriate people or to take them out of the country, then they end up with a lawsuit on their hands. But yeah, that would be interesting to follow up on.
And Ward Tim, yep, Ward Tim Jones here. Listen to you often throughout the day. I run the evening drive. Susie dragged me in here this morning though for some God unknown reason to help her out with the program. Ward, first of all, I was with a famous Alaskan last week. I'm a former Missouri legislator. I do a lot of conferences and stuff around the country. I was with your former Lieutenant Governor Meade Treadwell last week.
Oh yeah.
He's still still staying engaged.
I'm glad to hear that. The name Treadwell up here carries a couple of connotations. There's him, and there's the former Californian who everybody refers to up here as that idiot Tim Treadwell who got himself killed by a grizzly.
Holy
no.
smokes! Yeah, something not to tangle with. Yes.
Yeah, they made a movie about him, and I thought it was rather horrible because they're glorifying this idiot who crawled on his hands and knees up to bears, cooing at them and claiming that they were big fuzzy friends.
Not so
And
much.
one of them ate him.
So, Ward, similarly, back to the Tren de Aragua folks. Ward, I've noticed over the last many years, and it's continuing up till the present, whether it's the issue with Tren de Aragua or whether it's the Maryland man, or I saw yesterday the Democrats were cozying up to some other gang of criminals and thugs. They're either quiet, the Democrats are, they're either quiet on these issues and on these stories like the one you wrote about in San Antonio, or they outright cozy up to them. Ward, it's almost as if the Democrats are wishing for the absolute destruction and downfall of society.
Well, I think there's an element of that to it. They worry me the most when they're quiet. As you pointed out, they're either cozying up to thugs, and this has been going on for years. I mean, Michael Dukakis was accused of it. I remember that 1992 election, and he was accused of being a thug hugger. That was the term that was in use at the time. But it's when they're quiet, it's when they're not saying anything that I worry about what they're up to.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. We got some news yesterday, too, that there may be some progress in the talks for peace between Ukraine and Russia. There was a purported plan floated last week that a lot of people were up in arms about, and then there was some distancing from the administration that's saying that wasn't really what the plan was. But there does appear to be a plan in the works, and there some indication from Ukrainian officials that they are on board with it. You wrote that up yesterday as well. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. There originally was, I think, a 28-point plan, and I remember looking at the plan when it was first announced and thinking, this thing had everything except "from the desk of Vladimir Putin" written on it. They had Ukraine giving up the Donbass, all kinds of eastern territories. They had them gutting their military, forbidding them to join NATO, which I'm not sure NATO wants them anyway. And a host of other things. And there was no way Ukraine was ever going to accept that. Well, they didn't. And now there's, I think, a 19-point plan that apparently Ukraine's much more open to. And I have a feeling they're still going to lose the Donbass. They're going to have to give up forever any hope of getting any part of the Crimean Peninsula back. Russia's never going to give that up. That was never in the cards from the beginning. I've been saying for a couple of years now that the best Ukraine could ever hope for was a return to the status quo ante 2022. Russia leaves, goes away, keeps the Crimea, and Ukraine gets to stop shooting at, they both sides get to stop shooting at each other. I suspect they're going to lose the Donbass in this new deal, although I have not seen that detailed yet.
And Ward, do you think this is just, as you referenced at the beginning of your last answer, a ploy by Putin? Are we being played by Putin once again? Does he really want peace, or does he want Ukraine to become the Ukraine again, simply another region of Russia like it was, over the last many, decades and generations of the old Soviet Union?
I think he would love that. Vladimir Putin, remember, is an old colonel of the KGB. He thought the Soviet Union was wonderful.
Mhm.
He has said the fall of the Soviet Union is one of the worst things to happen in human history, which is a horrible notion when you think about it. But I think he would, yes, love to take all of Ukraine back. I just don't think Russia can do it. They've been at a standstill now for a couple of years. They're in kind of a high-tech version of the Great War of 1914 to 1918. Their lines are pretty well established. Now they have much more long-range weapons. They can, Ukraine hit Moscow, for Pete's sake. That hasn't happened since 1941. And Russia's striking deep into Ukraine. They're hitting targets very near the border with Poland, and that's making Poland rather nervous. And Poland is a NATO member. But I think he would love to. I just don't think he has the wherewithal to do it. And I think he is starting to realize that. And I suspect there's probably people in the Russian government who are pushing him a little bit on it, saying, take this deal.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if we do see any progress on that front. It would certainly be another feather in the cap of the Trump administration, President Trump, although he will not get credit for it from those on the left. We know that that's okay. The important thing is to stop the killing, as he says.
President Trump could find a cure for cancer, and the Democrats would yell at him for putting oncologists out of work.
Well, that's true. You're absolutely right about that, Ward. Many of our listeners probably are familiar with your work, but for those who are not, Ward is one of our most prolific writers at Red State, and he does a lot of our VIP content, which is our membership program that gives you sort of added bonus content, and it helps you help support the site. Ward is one of our big contributors to VIP, and you do all kinds of regular columns. You do sort of your stormy petrol columns and sort of deep dives and deep thought pieces. But you had an interesting one yesterday that was reflecting on the longest stretch without a major war. And you've got it 1945 to 2025, which, that's 80 years. And we don't think in those terms because we certainly have been at war in the interim, but a major war, that's a very good point. I want you to kind of flesh that out a little bit for us.
Yeah, and I should specify, and I may not have made it adequately clear in the article. It's the longest stretch, since the United States was founded. There was the Pax Romana, which lasted about 200 years, where there wasn't a major war in Europe. But it is interesting. We've been, history is punctuated by wars, and we've been 80 years without a major war in the world. And I'm just afraid that we're kind of ticking down towards one. And the problem is our two primary geopolitical rivals are Russia and China. Both of them have nuclear weapons. China has been doing things like smuggling biological materials into the country, which, as a biologist, that scares the absolute K-pop out of me. I worry more about biological weapons than nukes and chemical weapons combined. They just are terrifying if you know the capability. And both countries are poised on the edge of a demographic cliff. They've got 1 foot over the edge and they're about to go off. In another generation or two, Russia and China might not exist as recognizable nations. The leaders of both those countries know that. And I worry about what a desperate people with nuclear weapons might do.
Yeah, that is worrisome.
Yeah, Ward. I mean, are you a little surprised? Are we, or should we be surprised at all that there were predictions, Ward, a year or two ago that China was going to move on Taiwan? That has not happened. Is that because we have a strong man versus a weak man back in the White House? I mean, is China just biding its time? Are they waiting for the right moment? Do they care who our president is? Again, kind of like Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, similar analogy, I think. But you wonder why that invasion hasn't been attempted yet, almost.
I would certainly say Donald Trump being in the White House contributes to that. Remember, China isn't like the Western world. Even Japan. I've traveled and worked in Asia and very briefly in China, but I've spent a lot of time in Japan. People in that part of the world think of their history. We think in terms of hundreds of years. They think in terms of thousands of years. China's been around as an entity for a long, long time, and they tend to take the long view. And Donald Trump resumes office. They're like Reagan, they're not quite sure what he'd do, and they're a little worried about his unpredictability, and so they say, well, we can wait. We can wait. And if Kamala Harris was president right now, that she would engender absolutely zero respect on the world stage, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if China would have tried something by now. Now, the interesting part is Japan's new prime minister, Sanai Takaichi, is saying if China goes after Taiwan, we're coming to the aid of Taiwan, and Japan has been dialing their military in for a couple of years now.
Indeed.
Yeah, it was. I just read an article about that. Japan is kind of entering the fray, if you will. They've sort of been kind of quiet and mum on this issue of late, and now Takaichi's kind of like, nope, we're not going to play that game.
She's Japan's Iron Lady. And it's interesting because Japan is starting to remember, hey, guys, we had a really, really great martial history once.
Yeah.
And we could again. Going back to the days of the samurai, and of course there's some unfortunate aspects of it around World War II, but
absolutely.
But they wouldn't, like Germany, when they decided to go to war, they were always pretty good at it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's going to be interesting to watch, and appreciate your coverage of it all, Ward. I know you've got a red-eye flight later today, so we should wrap up and let you go, and maybe let you catch a few more Z's. But let folks know where the best place is for them to check out you and your work.
At Red State, obviously, redstate.com, and you can find me on both X or Twitter and Truth Social at The Great Lander.
Perfect.
And you can find my fiction work at Crimson Dragon Publishing.
Awesome. Ward, thanks so much for joining us, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too, Susie.
What will Americans be cooking, eating, and potentially debating at the table this Thanksgiving? We'll actually be looking at a YouGov poll on that coming up here at 6:50. So stay tuned.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
They were drinking water out of the toilet.
on News Talk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton. Open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Boones Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis or go online to overstockoutletstl.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's The Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
The turkeys being pardoned today go by the names of Gobble and Waddle.
When I first saw their pictures, I thought we should send them, I shouldn't say this. I was going to call them Chuck and Nancy. But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those two people.
I love when he says, I shouldn't say this. Because then he goes ahead and says it.
Of course. Yeah, that's he has a little fun with those things. Yeah, that was, I love funny Trump. When he's like at his comedic best, it's like, he's like Triumph the insult dog, but he's funny. And, that gets lost in the shuffle of all of the Trump hatred. And it's unfortunate because funny Trump is good Trump.
You're watching real live comedy sketches.
Yeah.
That he comes up with in his own head.
In his own head.
He's a master entertainer. He's an incredibly successful businessman. And he's a great communicator as well. His style is different.
It is different,
but he is a master communicator with the way he does. It's more stream of consciousness. Gets him in trouble oftentimes with the media because they're then allowed to cherry pick,
right,
and pull out different things of what he says and never leave anything in context,
right.
Well,
yeah, it's not polished and it kind of is like all over. It's kind of scattershot. It's the weave, he does the weave. It is kind of fascinating to watch him do that. But I love when he's up there doing something kind of lighthearted too, and you get to see that side of it. It's kind of fun.
Yes.
They've got a poll for everything.
Yes, they do.
I mean, literally everything. But so of course there's a YouGov poll about Thanksgiving. They asked all kinds of questions. I don't even know how many people that they surveyed, quite a few. But I wanted to look at some of the results here because some of them are kind of interesting. It's one of the first thing it says is that Americans who are parents of children under 18 are more likely than those who aren't to plan to travel for Thanksgiving. Well, that makes sense. I mean, if you got little kids, you're taking them to see grandma and grandpa, way more likely to travel than if the kids are a little bit older. You're a little bit older. You're not maybe as up for the travel thing. But I cannot put myself back in that mindset of traveling like air travel, long distance travel with like a toddler.
Now the kids come to us.
Yes.
Like that's the other reason that we're not traveling in our age demographic is because, for instance, in my family, I have a daughter who's a junior in college and she traveled home yesterday.
Yes.
And so they're coming to us. But yeah, Susie, I remember those days of loading everything up and getting, oh my goodness, it was like
the car seats, the diaper bags,
caravan of camels,
all the food.
Yeah.
It's just like an ordeal.
It really was.
We survived it.
And over the river and through the woods, to
Yeah.
grandmother's house we go.
Absolutely.
And you think back to, I don't know how like my folks did it back in the day with with lack of modern conveniences and ability to get from one place to it was a simpler time indeed. And I could, thankfully, we used to travel down to when I was much younger, when I was probably single digits and into my teen years, we would travel down to my grandma Jones's house down in the farm in Southwest Missouri, about 4 hours from Eureka, where I live now. But that was such a long time ago that in the last 15, 20 years, we've hosted at our house now. So you go through you have different travel schedules depending on different times in your life. What I was going to say was, we'd always drive. I can't imagine flying with as much air travel as I do and how complicated it usually is on a good day, on a good week when things are relatively normal. Flying today, I don't know that I've ever, maybe haven't done that since college.
Yeah.
Now, when I was growing up, we'd go down from Chicago area down to Mattoon, about central Illinois,
right,
for great grandmas, to get all the extended family together and stuff
Sure.
like that. But when it was Easter time, we would all dress up nice. But Thanksgiving, for some reason, was always a little bit more relaxed. Did you guys ever dress up nice for Thanksgiving, or were we just hillbillies?
No, I mean, I would say not as nice as for Easter or maybe even Christmas. But like not sweats. Does that make sense?
Okay, so
Like
we
jeans
were,
and a nice top, maybe.
okay, so we were a little bit underdressed. It sounds like, because that was our big thing, was kind of why I enjoyed Thanksgiving more than Easter at times, because you didn't have to sit still in the car ride for a few hours and in a suit, keeping everything nice and pressed and clean. It was Thanksgiving, so you could kind of.
Well, you do need the loose fitting pants because you know you're going to stuff yourself. So
that's true.
Thanksgiving's much more LL Bean and Easter's much more GQ.
That's a very good way of putting it. That's a very good way of putting it. One of the things this survey asked was who Americans are celebrating Thanksgiving with. And unsurprisingly, 75% of respondents said a family member. Okay, that makes sense. That's what we're talking about here. 31% say a friend. Now, these are probably going to be more than the total amount of, because I think there's people that do both. So, a member of the military or a veteran, 12%. Someone born outside the U.S., 8%, which I thought that's kind of a weird category. Like, why? What is that?
Yeah, it is a
I know I guess it's a U.S. holiday, but I don't know. I don't really get that. Someone who doesn't eat meat, 8%.
Boo.
A college. I've got family members.
Vegan Thanksgiving.
I have family members who are vegan, but you know what? They're good sports about it.
Okay.
It's not like
they just get into the sides.
They bring the eggplant.
You guys don't do the tofurkey?
We do not do tofurkey. We do not. I would protest if that were the case. We got 5% with a colleague and 2% someone who has never celebrated Thanksgiving before.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party.
I guess so. I guess people are coming in late.
Got anything about food in there?
Yeah. People who live in the South are more likely to have sweet potatoes and ham at Thanksgiving.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting.
With turkey?
With turkey. I think it's in addition because it says, which of the following do you expect to eat at Thanksgiving? And then it's got turkey, of course, is the number one line. And it says 71% in the South. So I'm thinking that's both. Whereas I always think of ham as Christmas or maybe Easter. I don't know.
You can do both. Get your meat sweats on.
It's true, I guess. Right. Let's see. Stuffing. I'm trying to think see if there's anything that's like surprising. Oh, cranberry sauce is on the outs with the Midwest.
Really?
Only 35% of the people in the Midwest.
My wife makes great cranberries and sauce, and I love it.
She doesn't just plunk it down out of the can?
No, not at all.
So we had that conversation yesterday about whether it should look like that or not, and I applaud that. Good on Suzanne.
The can ripples add to the flavor.
No,
ripples.
They do not. They do not. They take away from
flavor ripples.
We do not want those flavor ripples. There are a fair amount of people that do have macaroni and cheese as a side dish, and I applaud that. I'm on board with that. Well,
Agreed.
I'm just ready for some Thanksgiving feasting.
Let's do it.
We'll be back right after this.
This holiday season, help Feed My People fill the shelves. NewsTalk STL and the STL County GOP are partnering for an annual food drive, November 10th through December 21st. Drop off your non-perishable food donations at all Bartolino's restaurants, all Chris's Pancakes and dining locations, and all 3 Michael's flooring outlets, or at the NewsTalk STL studios.
Tim Jones here to let you know that together we can make a difference for families in need.
Visit NewsTalkSTL.com for complete drop-off locations.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030. 2030.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Although most Americans are heading to their holiday destinations by car, the airports are plenty busy. The FAA expects the busiest Thanksgiving in 15 years. More than 360,000 flights scheduled through next Tuesday. Now, if you're among those hitting the road, snow could slow you down in some parts of the country.
Wednesday, even into Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, into Friday. So there'll be some, it's pretty narrow bands, but there'll be some significant snowfall accumulations off the lakes in Michigan and western New York.
Mark Chenard at the National Weather Service says the upper Midwest and the northern plains are also dealing with snow and ice. Whiteout conditions have even closed some interstates. President Trump says substantial progress has been made in negotiations over a Ukraine peace agreement, although Ukrainian negotiator Alexander Bev says it's premature to talk about a definitive peace plan.
There is no final version of any peace framework so far. So the document that was presented to Ukraine and discussed in Geneva was significantly transformed, and it reflects a lot of things that Ukraine wanted to put there or to change or to exclude from this plan.
That assessment echoed by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer addressing Parliament.
The initial draft of the 28-point plan included points that were not acceptable, but also some very important elements that will be essential for a just and lasting peace.
Ukrainian President Zelensky continues to oppose any territorial concessions to the Russians. Meanwhile, a senior Kremlin official says U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff plans a visit to Moscow next week. Jesse Jackson's family says the 84-year-old Jackson has been released from a hospital where he was treated for a rare neurological disorder. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are up 32 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 84. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Just how good is Pure Talk's current deal for unlimited wireless? Well, you might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Because right now, for just $29.95 a month, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This is Pure Talk's top-tier plan. It comes with a crazy fast 5G network along with a 30-gig hotspot. And at just $29.95 a month, there has never been a better opportunity to lock in a ridiculously low rate for as long as you live and save thousands and thousands of dollars along the way. This plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you will save over 50% every single month for the rest of your life. See what I mean? It really is the deal of your lifetime. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer ends 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at Pure.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Going to be in for a gusty and cool day with temperatures back towards the lower 40s, but feels like going to be stuck towards the lower 20s with wind gusts out of the northwest up to 35 miles per hour. Looking mostly sunny for Thanksgiving Thursday, a high of 41 degrees. Friday, mostly cloudy, 38. Then we're going to be seeing late Friday night into Saturday, chance for snow, switching back over to rain. Temperatures going to be a little bit chillier towards the upper 30s this weekend. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Mike Ferguson
What is that private pile? Sir, jelly donuts, a jelly donut.
Susie Moore.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Well, I'll say it was at least better than Chris Harps's Kofifi dance.
Oh, way better.
Little Trump dance in the morning.
Yeah,
right?
he had going on.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm,
we're rocking here in the studio.
Mhm.
We are Kofifi'd up, and we are happy to be joined now by Nick Schroer, Missouri State Senator, and he's got some interesting information to share with us. Welcome back to the show, Nick.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah.
Nick, the issue with the referendum, the potential referendum by the lunatic left to repeal something that you all in the legislature just approved and the governor signed into law, the new 7-1 congressional map, is getting a lot of attention. Nick, I find it hypocritical as usual, hilarious as well, that the left always wants to whine and complain and stomp their feet anytime Republicans fight fire with fire. Explain what's going on regarding this whole scenario.
Yeah, this is another move by the Democrats in the state of Missouri to cry a foul. And look, I've been at this fight since 2021, 2022 to try and redraw our maps to reflect exactly what we are, a more conservative state. And finally, with the help of two new leaders, with Governor Kehoe coming in, Governor Trump working together, we finally made that come true with the special session. But you see this group coming into our state, AMT, bringing in a ton of firepower in the with all of the dark money that's been accumulated from out-of-state millionaires. And we just passed a prohibition on ballot measures being funded by out-of-state billionaires, stopping that from happening. And this is a little bit different. So this group AMT is coming in with all of this out-of-state money, and they're buying a lot of people, bringing a lot of people from Michigan and other states. We've seen this from videos from Congressman Mark Alford, State Senator Mike Moon, State Representative Trish Burns, who have encountered these people and proving that they're not from the state of Missouri. Well, it gets a little bit more nuanced also, because in other states they've been sued for using fraudulent tactics, forging documents to get these signatures, lying to people, intimidating people. We just saw that video on social media yesterday of a lady at a veterans home, intimidating all of these people while trying to get their signatures. So the biggest wrinkle now is that it's being investigated by the Attorney General, something that I called on just a couple of weeks ago, being investigated by the Attorney General, that this money is being used to pay illegal immigrants to come and collect signatures as well. And go figure, they're using out-of-state millionaires and out-of-state individuals to try and change our Constitution.
Wow. So you said that the AG's office is looking into it. Is it just this one group, AMT, or are there other groups behind some of this?
Yeah, there are some other groups as well, and it's really crazy. This is like a made-for-TV movie, a Hallmark movie, I guess you could say, because there's some other groups that are also trying to collect signatures. And AMT, who has been sued in countless other states for all of these horrible tactics and criminal allegations, they are suing some other groups, trying to say that they're sabotaging, trying to collect signatures while they're doing it as well. So it's a hot mess. And I know you've got Denny Hoskins throwing out a lot of these signatures because of these criminal allegations and horrific tactics that they're using. The Attorney General is investigating them right now for employment violations. I know there's a video circulating where some of these signature collectors from out of state are saying, yeah, I was bussed in here. I was put up at a hotel. I was promised the world. Now I'm not getting anything. My hotel doesn't have water. I'm not getting paid, and I have no way to get home. So there are a lot of employment violations that are being alleged. And my hope would be, if the Democrats truly care about the working class, that they will also back an investigation into this company as well.
Speaking to Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer, also the chairman of the Missouri Freedom Caucus in the state Senate. Nick, isn't this another example of what the left is always guilty of? And that is they are absolutely responsible for all the things that they claim others are doing, right? So, Nick, when you look at the overall overarching issue of, quote, gerrymandering, one of the reasons why the Democrats are having trouble squeezing more congressional seats out of their deep blue states is because they've been gerrymandering for 50, 60, 70 years while Republicans in most conservative blood red states idly sat by. You basically said enough is enough. We're not gonna let the Democrats simply beat us at our own game.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In any fight that you're looking at, both fighters have to fight with the same rules. You can't have one operating by a different rule book because they're going to win every single time, and that's what the Democrats have been doing. And I hate to say it, but you look at Jerome, I've had a lot of good talks with Jerome about this. You look at a lot of states like Illinois and California, New York, so many Democrats. I can't name one Democrat state that hasn't gerrymandered. And I know there are a lot of different non-biased studies out there showing how Missouri is just right in the middle, that Missouri's done a pretty good job, even with with our previous map, cutting counties like St. Charles County, Warren County, Boone County, some of our fastest growing counties, cutting them in half in the 7-1 map. Yes, even though it reflects a more conservative outcome, it's because we're keeping counties together. We're not, bending the knee to the left to avoid a filibuster like we did back in 2022. And, finally, we're having a conversation globally as to how can we modify on a federal level? How can we stop the Democrats from doing this? And heck, Arnold Schwarzenegger, somebody who back a couple of years ago was fighting for clean Missouri, fighting to change our Constitution and allow the Democrats to infiltrate it that way. It seems that he's woken up and drinking the common sense tea, because he's even saying, look, the Democrats have been getting away with this year after year after year. You can't hate the Republicans for finally waking up saying, oh, we're on a different rule book. Let's now start playing this game their way.
Yeah. Well, I think the telltale, the good rule of thumb is if you look at a state's congressional maps and it looks like there's snakes involved, that's where there's an issue. And
Snakes and spaghetti strands.
Snakes, yeah, exactly. That's the telltale. Nick, for people who are perhaps approached by someone in a parking lot at Walmart or Target or the grocery store, asking them to sign onto one of these petitions, what's your best advice for them?
Yeah, I'd say number one, you can record them. In the state of Missouri, you can absolutely record these people. That's how we're getting the evidence to see what's truly going on. Number one, ask them for a printout of what they are signing on to. If they don't have the printout, that's unlawful. Number two, ask them where they're from. If they say, oh, well, I'm from right here in St. Louis, ask them the old Missouri question, where'd you go to high school? And a lot of people can't answer it. And then ask them who they work for. These are things that they're refusing to do. They're intimidating people who start asking these questions. So please have your camera ready just in case anything violent breaks out. And contact the Secretary of State. If you have signed on to this thing and you're now awake, seeing that this is something that you don't want to be a part of, contact the Secretary of State, and they can actually take your signature off of this movement.
And Nick, if Missourians would like to help the Missouri GOP defend a new congressional map that reflects our values, there's opportunities for people to participate in that process, right?
Yeah, if you reach out to me, Nick at nickschroer.com, or find me on all the social media platforms at Nick B. Schroer on X. I can connect you to the individuals in your area, in your county. I know News Talk goes. I was just at my farm hunting over the weekend, and all the way up to Howard County, I was getting News Talk STL. So the reach is far, but I can connect you to the GOP in your area, the actual Missourians that are fighting this thing, not people being shipped in from other states or illegal immigrants. I can connect you with the people so you can get on the front lines and help as well.
Awesome. Nick, you got good Thanksgiving plans?
Eating a lot. I know that's part of it. I know, like Donald Trump said yesterday, I'd like to lose a few pounds, but it's not going to be on Thanksgiving.
No.
Just spending time with family. I was just at the Capitol yesterday going over 30 plus bills that we're getting ready for. So, next week is pre-filing, starts Monday. It's probably going to be snowy. So we put all of that information, all of our pre-filing bills ready to go December 1st, and it's going to be a fireworks show. We're going to have things like stopping Sharia law, juvenile law reforms are going to be on there, keeping our schools safe act, that's going to be another one, Second Amendment bills, and of course, my favorite, tax cuts. Those are all going to be a part of my agenda. And you can find all of that at senate.mo.gov on December 1st.
And Nick, as chairman of the Freedom Caucus, everything you mentioned, I know, will be a top priority for the Missouri Freedom Caucus heading into the 2026 legislative session as well, won't it?
Amen. And we're getting a lot done. We've gotten a lot done in just the 2 years, growing memberships. I know we just lost a great one in Justin Sparks to the Trump administration, but we've got several members in the House, several members in the Senate that we are talking to about either joining forces with the Missouri Freedom Caucus, or they're getting more information as to how they can become part of the Missouri Freedom Caucus. So we're not going anywhere. We're going into our third year. We still got a lot to accomplish with education choice, tax cuts, Second Amendment issues. So keep an eye out on the Missouri Freedom Caucus in 2026.
We will definitely be doing that. You and yours have a happy Thanksgiving, Nick. Thanks so much for joining us.
All of you too. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
And folks, since this is Thanksgiving Eve, when we come back, we're going to talk turkey.
This is your kissing. Get up, where are you waiting?
Mike Ferguson in the morning
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
on News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
State Rep Justin Sparks is the latest Missouri politician to join the Trump administration. We'll discuss the state's influence Wednesday with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd, and we'll open Close's cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com. Brian and his team, they're just amazing people. They're so proud of their operation. Pride in every installation. You can see that in the Google reviews. Pride in the great quality, pride in the great pricing, pride in the great variety, and pride in the fact that you can go into the store right off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or the store will come to you. That's the promise of O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Johnny Tobacco, he's host of Wise Guys on Newsmax. The polls are saying that Kami Mandami is going to be the next mayor of New York.
Well, you know, Chris, I don't know what they say out in St. Louis about polls, but here in New York, we say polls are good in two places, strip clubs and firehouses. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
This December 13th, join Wreaths Across America at Belle Reve Gardens Cemetery as we remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach our children the value of freedom. Help us lay remembrance wreaths on the graves of our fallen heroes. Sponsor a wreath, volunteer, or bring your family to this meaningful tribute to our veterans, because every hero deserves to be remembered. Learn more and sponsor a wreath. Visit NewsTalkSTL.com.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL, live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Joe Biden, he used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid, as are the pardons of about every other person that was pardoned other than Where's Hunter? No, Hunter's was good. That was the one pardon, Pam, that was good, right? The rest of them are all invalid. I don't know what the hell you're going to do about that, but now we're going to take a little of the joking. That is a mess. But they're hereby null and void. The turkeys known as Peach and Blossom last year have been located, and they were on their way to be processed. In other words, to be killed. But I have stopped that journey, and I am officially pardoning them. And they will not be served for Thanksgiving dinner.
As only he can. But the funny thing is, if you listen to that clip, it sounds like he is like in a comedy club because you can hear the audience giggling over it. And he's got, and I love when he says to be processed, in other words, to be killed. Thanks for specifying, Don.
And he intersperses very serious subject matter within the comedic routine. He is a master communicator indeed, because he referenced, Susie, there 2 actual scandals that the media, the liberal corporate media, not Red State and not News Talk STL media, but that the liberal media have completely and utterly ignored. And that's something you and I talk about all the time, is one of the biggest sins, one of the biggest modern day sins of once actual journalists is the sins of omission.
Yes.
In not reporting on things that don't fit their narrative, like the Biden auto pen scandal. Susie, you know that if this had been Reagan or Bush or Trump, and there had been an auto pen scandal, they would be documenting that and running exposés on CNN and MS Never, or whatever it's called now. MS Never, right?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Mostly Stupid Never.
Yeah.
Mostly Stupid Always. They would be doing that all the time, right? If you had a Republican president that had pardoned like notorious, nefarious criminals, and the second scandal, referencing Hunter Biden, if you had a child of a Republican president, allegedly leaving his cocaine dime bags around the White House and engaged in transferring secrets to foreign enemies, that would be rightfully so a scandal worth reporting on too. But they've completely ignored both of those things.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the magic of Donald Trump, is that he makes it impossible to completely ignore him because, as you pointed out, he weaves them into, this is just the turkey pardon. It's a ceremonial turkey pardon. You figure it's there for a few laughs. It's, every year they've been doing this now for, I think since HW, they've been doing this. And he takes that opportunity to remind the audience, which includes the legacy media, that, oh yeah, the pardons that came out of the Biden presidency are a bunch of baloney.
The last thing anyone likely expected during the usual light and lively turkey pardon procedure and ceremony was for Donald Trump to absolutely hammer the failed national corporate media on 2 of the biggest scandals of the last 4 years and of the last administration.
Yeah. And we're not at the end of that. It's obviously a lot of this has been exposed. It's been looked into very closely by the Oversight Committee. I think the Department of Justice is probably doing or the FBI is probably looking at this too. I don't know legally, what the ramifications are ultimately going to be, but nevertheless, it's serious that you had this issue about whether or not these pardons were issued with the knowing assent and involvement of the one person who has the authority to do it.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us are saying that you should not deploy the modern technological convenience of an auto pen. The question becomes, did Joe Biden know or have reason to know what the auto pen in his case was being utilized for? Was there any knowledge imparted upon him such that he knew, hey, Mr. President, by the way, we issued another 15 pardons this morning. Here's what they were for. Did that conversation and that knowledge impartation ever exist? Or was it just some young leftist progressive staffer deciding who to pardon around the country? That's a serious breakdown in our structure of a government.
It is, and I think the fact that the pardon that was the standalone pardon that was issued to Hunter on December 1st, that it stretched back for a very specific 11 years. And
they seem to know certain things that would be affected.
That's a very interesting date you chose.
A potential indictment that now can't be brought.
Right. Yeah. And that we know was signed by Joe Biden, even though, of course, even that was going back on what he had said for a long, long time he wasn't going to do. he dodged whether he was going to pardon his son and basically said that he would not do that. And then
The crazy,
did do it.
the crazy French lady with the binder said that specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Corinne Jean-Pierre.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was point blank asked and provided a point blank answer that pardon would never occur.
Right. Exactly. And so get past the fact that he went back on that because we all knew he was going to. I mean, like, no,
Right.
he wasn't. Yeah.
I mean, it was the biggest lie that no one believed.
Right. The open secret. But the fact that was standalone and that we do know that he signed that one kind of underscores the fact that these other ones are very questionable and sketchy.
Therefore, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a logical conclusion that we recovering lawyers would easily come to, but no one you don't even need a law degree to make that logical leap.
No.
Because of, like you said, the time, the attention, the detail of the minutia of the Hunter Biden pardon versus the dumping of the others. And again, the auto pen has been around for decades.
Yeah.
And should be utilized by a very busy executive
Think of
branch.
all the letters that go out with the president's name on them, that sort of thing.
But
Of
there needs to be
course.
some level of knowledge imparted on the executive themselves. And that level of knowledge could fluctuate, right? If it's thank you notes versus criminal pardons, we're talking about two different levels
We
of
are.
knowledge here. And yet, I don't know that any American, left, right, or center, has any certainty in their minds that what Joe Biden knew and when he knew it.
No, it's kind of unknowable, which is why the fact that Trump goes out of his way to sign so many things in front of everybody with his big Sharpie. I love it because, Will Scharf is usually standing
Right next to him.
So Missouri is well represented, and in fact, maybe even better represented in this administration before too long, if any of the rumors are true. But you love the fact that he goes out of his way to, show off that he is signing these, like the executive orders, anything of consequence, anything that's being talked about in the news, you're seeing him signing.
Trump has knowledge of, and in many cases, deep knowledge of, because I don't know that we've ever seen this before, where a president literally live on national television is signing executive orders
and talking about them
and discussing them with the secretary, Will Scharf, who's handing them to him. Now what is this one? What does this one do? What is this one all about? Well, Mr. President, this does X, Y, and Z. And then Trump goes, yep, exactly. This is what I remember we talked about. And I'm going to sign it right here in front of you with this big giant signature.
Yeah.
So there is no question that Trump has comprehension of what's going on in his White House versus the previous, vegetable in waiting. I mean, it's sad to say these things, but also true. We don't know who actually ran this country over the last 4 years.
No, I mean, we have some suspicions, but we don't know. And, I don't know. It's one of those things where.
And isn't it interesting? The left has no intellectual curiosity about this whatsoever.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, where is the media in this? I mean, it's already established. Well, here's the thing. We've established beyond reasonable doubt that they lied to us about the cognitive status of the man who was occupying the office before Trump. They lied to us. They outright gaslit, lied to the American public over and over again until they couldn't do it any longer. And whoever it was that pushed that debate in June of last year, thank you, I guess.
They almost wanted to call the question.
Yeah. But so we're going to rely on that same group to be truthful with any of the reporting they're doing now. I mean, if they're going to lie about that, I mean, every day we see a story come out that they run with, and then the White House is like, "Oh, that's not true." Here's the information countering that. The Kash Patel thing being a prime example of that. They're busy running around saying, "Oh, he's on the outs with Trump, and he's sitting in the Oval Office with him."
And then the latest concocted story, I know you all have been covering this week, the unlawful order story.
I know. We haven't even had a chance to talk about that.
From the seditious six, which I love that term you just applied to them.
Yep. I mean, maybe we'll have a chance to kind of revisit that later on. But I mean, that story is not going away. And I think that's going to blow back on the people involved with that. And I would like to know a lot more about who was behind that, who
and another dangerous, destructive thing fomented by the lunatic left who have constant TDS.
Right. And yet the legacy media wants to cover Trump's reaction to that
versus what they actually did.
But yeah, let's find out who did right, who conceived this idea, Who wrote the script? Because we know there was a script. Ruben Gallego just talked about, oh yeah, by the time the script got to me, I didn't have time to record it. So let's find out more about that. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about that situation in the coming days. I don't think it's going away.
Agreed.
You know what else is not going away? The campaign for the St. Charles County
Just
Executive.
getting fired up.
Just getting started. We're going to have one of the candidates on with us next. Bill Eigel is going to come in and talk to us about what he wants to do if he is elected, specifically with property taxes. Stick around. We'll be back right after this.
Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My opinion is it's weird.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Koch with your first alert forecast. Going to be in for a gusty and cool day with temperatures back towards the lower 40s, but feels like going to be stuck towards the lower 20s with wind gusts out of the northwest up to 35 miles per hour. Looking mostly sunny for Thanksgiving Thursday, a high of 41 degrees. Friday, mostly cloudy, 38. Then we're going to be seeing late Friday night into Saturday, chance for snow, switching back over to rain. Temperatures going to be a little bit chillier towards the upper 30s this weekend. In the first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Koch.
Your business moves fast. PRI Global keeps it moving smarter for almost 30 years, delivering top tech talent to help companies grow stronger, custom applications, simplifying your operations, securing your data, modernizing your business from the cloud up. And with Prismatic, you're going to get real-time insights, automated workflows, people, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all three. PRIglobal.com.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
I truly hope you have a great Thanksgiving, but then will come a crisis. How soon before you put up the Christmas tree, the lights around the house, the other outdoor decorations? Some of you probably have already done it, haven't you? But there are those who say, don't rush the season. So what is the proper time? Is there a proper time? A wrong time? And then the other question, when do you take them all down? Or do you just leave them up? Just don't turn the lights on. I have an 8-volume book on this issue. Really? No, not really. But I do have a schedule. And if I share it with you, will you do the same or will you try to outdo me? There is a quote that claims those who put up Christmas trees early are happier. Do you think that's true? Well, I'm just thankful for modern conveniences. Things like Alexis, put up the tree. Alexis, take down the tree.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
I did something I'm not proud of. I bought a mattress off the internet. No lie, it showed up like a giant burrito. It was lumpy and my back still angry. Then I went to Snooze. They use real Mayo Clinic pressure mapping technology to find my perfect mattress for my body, not some algorithm. And during Black Friday, I saved up to $900 on Stearns & Foster, and I could have saved $600 off Beauty Rest Black. Lesson learned. Snooze is local, expert, and fully stocked. If you don't snooze, you lose.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
Donald Trump has changed things, and people trying to do what's always been done is not going to work.
Today, alongside this peace treaty, we also are signing a major trade deal.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We're through being cool. We're through being cool. Eliminate the diggies and the twits.
Larry Connors here. I begin my morning every day with the Mike Ferguson Morning Show while I'm doing my 10-mile run. Catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
Hi, Larry. Hope that run's going well.
I'm sure he is. He's probably almost here.
Probably. Welcome back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Susie Moore filling in for Mike today while he enjoys a well-deserved day off. And I've got Tim Jones here with me and Jerome. And we are joined now by the one and only Bill Eigel. Bill, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy almost Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, same to you. Listen, Bill, I know this is front and center for you, and we've talked about it before, but this is a topic that I think really kind of gets people wound up and gets them very intrigued, and that is this idea of property taxes and whether we can in fact eliminate them. And I know you are championing that as part of your campaign to become the next St. Charles County executive. How are we going to achieve that?
Well, yeah, and that's a great point, because there are a lot of folks out there that are part of government right now saying that we can't do this, we shouldn't do this. If we do this, we're going to see the implosion of our government. In fact, when I was a state senator down in Jefferson City, everyone was telling me that we couldn't cut personal property taxes in Jefferson City because it was a local issue. And now here I am running for a local position as a county executive, trying to come up with a plan to eliminate the tax. And everybody's saying, well, you can't do it at the local level. The state has to do this. So really, this is just a shell game. And it comes down to there are just too many government entities that are terrified of anything that involves reducing spending. They're terrified of anything that involves efficiency. They're terrified of anything that may involve a lowering of the tax burden. But I think that's why folks are looking for leaders that are willing to think outside of the box, willing to come up with a plan to really do something about this personal property and real property tax burden that's bigger and heavier than it's ever been before. So ongoing right now is we are in the process of accomplishing the first step in my plan, which is an initiative petition for the St. Charles County Charter that would authorize the county executive to send surpluses and also send efficiencies of county government to the county collector to basically pay down the tax bills of the people on behalf of them. So if you go to the website axthetaxstc.com right now, you can sign up to be a part of that petition and be a part of the necessary group of people that will need to get this done. It's only been active for about 6 days, and we're already over 500 signatures. So we're doing very well, and there's a lot of interest, like you said, in doing something about this crazy tax burden.
Yeah, Bill, isn't it great that so many in the Jefferson City Uniparty and the Rhino Republican moderate establishment are finally where you and I have been for not just years, but for decades. Me going back to 2014, when I cut the income tax for the first time in Missouri state history. You, as a former state senator who has been shouting from the rooftops for years that we have to do something about this heavy state and local tax burden. Bill, there's a misnomer out there, right? That Missouri's a low tax state. I know you know that's not true. We have to start eliminating some taxes in Missouri because we are overtaxed, multi-taxed, and heavily taxed pretty much everywhere you look from the massive amount of taxing jurisdictions that we have here in the Show Me State, don't we?
That is absolutely correct, Tim. Although there's one difference still between you and I and a lot of those pretend Republicans down in Jefferson City, and quite frankly, some of the pretend Republicans that we have here in the St. Louis region.
Mm-hmm.
You and I are talking about cutting the tax burden and actually cutting spending to alleviate and facilitate those reductions in the tax burden. A lot of these fake Republicans are actually just saying, well, let's shift the let's increase some other tax so that we can play the shell game to get rid of the tax that is most in the headlines right now. I'll give you, I have been encouraged by when I hear our governor right now talking about getting rid of the income tax, and he's going to unveil the plan, but that's going to be a kind of a disappointment if his plan is nothing more than to just shift the tax stream somewhere else, right? I want to see actual commitments to efficiency in government. I want to see commitments to reducing actual wasteful spending in government that's going to facilitate these cuts. You and I are talking about that. I'm not necessarily convinced that some of the other pseudo Republicans actually have that in mind.
Agreed.
Yeah, Bill, you just kind of hit on this. There's always this sense of you hear story after story about government waste and overspending on ridiculous things. I mean, the examples of it are countless, and you can get most rational people, regardless of who they normally vote for, on board with the idea that we don't want to be wasteful. But yet, when there's this proposition of, well, let's dial back the tax burden, the first cry you hear from the opposition is, well, how are we going to replace those funds? How are we going to continue spending what we're spending? There's this resistance to dialing back spending. How do you combat that?
Well, one, you have to understand that the fear that's used against tax cuts, which is exactly what you said. People say, "Oh my gosh, you're going to get rid of all of our necessary services. You're going to defund the police. You're going to defund the schools." None of that is actually true. We actually can maintain all of our critical services and get rid of a lot of these bad taxes. If you just look at states like Florida, Texas, Tennessee, they're able to provide all of these services, and they don't have personal property tax. They don't have income taxes. They're simply have built their government systems to be far more efficient than what we have here in Missouri. And it's really about time that we start getting after our government officials to be a bit more better useful or better efficient with our tax dollars. So I have always been the guy that's been calling for these kind of reforms. And I can tell you, we have a long way to go in terms of government efficiency. Look at St. Charles County. Look at some of the money pits that our county executive has gotten us into. We've got a family arena. We've got the county government engaged of running a major entertainment complex. And of course, it's losing millions of dollars every single year. It's costing tens of millions of dollars of us to actually keep doing upgrades to the facility, and it's become a giant money pit. Well, we got to get out of those money pits. We don't need to spend all the money that our current county executive wants to spend on the boondoggles around the county of St. Charles. And if we don't do that, then the county tax burden is just going to keep on going up. I've got a better plan. We're going to get rid of personal property tax and start reducing the property tax burden.
Speaking to former Missouri State Senator and founding member of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, Bill Eigel, candidate now for county executive in the great county of St. Charles. Bill, I love that you are taking aim at one of the most insidious of taxes, personal property tax. And to prove that point, Bill, that it is an insidious, really stupid tax, only a distinct minority of states have the personal property tax, a tax on a depreciating asset like a piece of equipment or anything with four wheels that you continue to pay excessive taxes on every single year you own it. Bill, I did a quick back of the napkin math on this the other day. And if you have like a 10-year-old vehicle, you have probably paid upwards of $7,000 to $10,000 of taxes, including the initial sales tax on that vehicle. So, Bill, it's a stupid tax. We need to eradicate it. You have a plan. You had a plan in the Missouri legislature to do it for the entire state, and now you have a plan to do it here in the county of St. Charles. Give us some more of the details on that.
Yeah, and by the way, isn't this supposed to be America where we actually are allowed to own our own stuff? I mean, every year on December 1st, if you have to pay rent to government for the stuff that you own, who really owns it right here, right? So this is a huge problem. But back to the plan. So step one, we talked about we're going to authorize the county executive to move surpluses and efficiencies of government over to the county collector to actually pay down those tax bills. Step two is we're going to move some of the surpluses that we currently already have in St. Charles County over to the county collector to start paying those down. That includes the 1.5-cent use tax that we passed a couple years ago to start taxing internet purchases. Right now, it's generating a surplus of almost $35 million a year. By the time we get a new county executive, it's going to be north of $50 million a year. We're going to move that over to paying down our tax burdens. And then step 3, we're going to have a Department of Government Efficiency in St. Charles County that's going to go through the $600 million annual county budget and find 15 to 20% savings. And if you take those savings plus the surplus we already have, you're going to have more than enough dollars to pay off and eliminate the $110 million of personal property tax bills that we're currently collecting countywide. So we have a 3-step plan. The first step is already underway. You could go to axthetaxstc.com to sign up to be a part of modifying our charter to facilitate this happening. And then with the right county executive, we're going to move those surpluses efficiencies over, and we're going to be the first county in Missouri that's going to be able to get out from underneath this personal property tax.
Bill, obviously you are running to be the next executive of St. Charles County, and obviously this is one of the big issues for you, but what other things do you want voters to know as far as what you're going to be trying to implement if you are elected?
Yeah. So number one is property taxes and personal property taxes. We're bringing down the burden. Number 2 is we're going to put a stop to all these apartment complexes that are going up all over St. Charles County. You know, we actually introduced almost 4,000 new units between 2010 and 2020 of high density urban apartment complexes in St. Charles County. Since from 2020 to 2025, we added another 5,000 units to the county. So this is an extraordinary number of apartment complexes. In fact, apartment complex growth accounts for over 40% of overall St. Charles County population growth. We're moving them into these apartment complexes. These are a fiscal loser for the county. They're changing the demographics of the county to look more like St. Louis County and St. Louis City. We're going to put in place a countywide moratorium on these high density urban apartment complexes so that St. Charles County doesn't lose the identity that we've all come to know it has for the past 30 or 40 years. That's probably number 2. And number 3, we're going to start doing a lot of the things that I was even talking about as governor that we can actually implement here in St. Charles County. We're going to be looking at moving some of our municipal elections to the November date. So you don't have these April elections where very small minorities of the county are able to change or approve tax increases or make changes to the county and approve things that are out of step with county voters. A lot of these things that we talked about in the state level, we could do at the county level if we would have a little bit of leadership. So St. Charles County has a real opportunity to continue to be a leader in the state of Missouri. We're going to make sure it happens.
Awesome. Well, Bill, thank you for joining us. Hope you and yours have a very happy Thanksgiving. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great morning and a happy Thanksgiving.
And you too. Nope. Yep. Okay. Well, I was going to say, do you
Food drive.
Food drive.
There we go.
Food drive. We talked about this a little bit. We're talking about food, of course, all day today, but this is an important time of the year where we need your help. We here at NewsTalkSTL have teamed up with St. Louis County GOP to collect food for the feedmypeople.org group. They are a great organization that is helping feed the hungry and those who are in need here in the St. Louis area. You can help us out with that very easily. Just next time you're in the store, pick up a few non-perishable items and bring them by the station. Drop them off. Bring them by Chris's Pancakes or Michael's or Bartolino's. Drop them off. Help us help the people of the St. Louis area.
Yeah, if you have any leftover cans, any leftover boxes from Thanksgiving that you didn't use, that'd be great. We don't need the leftovers. Please don't saran wrap some leftovers, put them in the bin.
No.
But any boxes of non-perishable, any cans of non-perishables, bring them on by. Just come say hello.
Chase down Mr. Hinky Dink, so no trace can be found.
Hey, Susie Moore here. We have been talking about food all day because it's Thanksgiving Eve. So you might have food on the brain. You might be hungry. You might be wondering, what am I going to do for lunch? I have a great suggestion for you. Go to Harpo's Chesterfield, located in the heart of West County for more than 20 years. They are close, they are convenient, and they've got great food. I am always raving about their burgers. I know they've got all kinds of items on their menu. Each day, they've got daily food specials and drink specials. happy hour specials. You can always check out what their food specials are and their drink specials are by going to harposstl.com. Last week they reintroduced a fan favorite. They've brought back their meatloaf. It's back for $13. It's served with green beans and mashed potatoes. That's something they do on Thursdays. Now, probably not tomorrow because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So hopefully they will be closed and enjoying time with their families. But most Thursdays, you can find that there on any given day. If you want to know what's going on at Harpo's, you can go check out their website. You can check them out on Facebook. You can check them out on Instagram. If you want to be where there's friendly, energetic staff, where you've got a great sports bar atmosphere, if you want someplace close, convenient, where they deliver fun food and great drinks, go to Harpo's Chesterfield. Whether you're dining in or carrying out, Harpo's Chesterfield is your go-to.
Chris Arps here, and I'm thankful for my relationship with Christ, my wonderful wife, Becky, and the opportunity to speak to the great listeners of News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo, and as we approach another holiday season, I am thankful that my family continues to be happy and healthy. Oh, and I'm also glad I don't work for George Soros.
News Talk STL, celebrating family and friends this season of Thanksgiving. Brought to you by Candici's, Parlor Donuts, and Amis Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results, 314-852-8933, 314-852-8933, and start packing.
Dr. Draghi and his team at Esquire Sports Medicine get pros back on the field, so they can certainly help you. You need an MRI, X-ray, CAT scan, pre- or post-surgery treatment, rehab. The chiropractic physicians at Esquire can help you or connect you to experts you need. And I know you're hurting right now. You don't want to wait. Esquire sees new patients often within 24 hours. EsquireSportsMedicine.com.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
We are back on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Susie Moore here with Tim Jones and producer Jerome. And we have been doing a lot of talking about food because we're counting down the hours now till Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And this is, I got to say, it's right up there. It's definitely one of my favorite holidays because it's about food and family and friends. But, you know, there's other traditions that some people have developed in relation to Thanksgiving.
Indeed.
Some of them more what's the word I'm looking for?
Inappropriate?
Maybe inappropriate.
Risque?
Yes. Tim reminded me earlier this week that a nickname for today,
Mhm.
also Thanksgiving Eve, is Skanksgiving.
It is, indeed. I could tell lots of stories about it.
Yeah.
You watch your language, mister.
Exactly. Well, Mike was not aware of this, that the Wednesday before
He
Thanksgiving.
wasn't? Is this another St. Louis thing, like toasted ravioli
Might
and
be. Gooey
crab
butter cake,
rangoon?
yeah, it might
and
be.
Gooey butter cake and
It could very well be definitely a St.
flat
Louis thing.
pizza.
Where'd you go to high school?
high school. What's that, Jerome?
Is it emos?
Emos, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so it's the biggest going out night of the year.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to have nefarious, inappropriate
No.
connotations, but sometimes it did.
If you're maybe in your early 20s, it did. I don't know. I mean, rumors I've heard. Yeah, I mean, it's a big night to go out because a lot of people that don't live here anymore come back in town to visit their families. They get together with friends, and it's a great night to go out. And most people don't have to be up like at the crack of dawn on Thanksgiving, so they
Correct.
might feel like they're comfortable staying out a little bit later,
Yes.
maybe having a little bit to drink.
Yes. Again, there doesn't have to be any romantic interludes, appropriate or non. But that's kind of the whole. It's a joke. It's a joke of the whole thing. And we always used it very like in a friendly manner. You know, it was like you get all your, like you said, you get all your friends together and you go out to your favorite watering hole.
Right.
And I was telling Susie about one of ours before the show started today that we frequented, I think, almost every Thanksgiving Eve, for those of you who would like to be more Puritan about it. And that was the old 20 North down on the western edge of the SLU campus, which is long gone, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. It was, I drove past 20 North one time in the daylight and thought to myself, why do I ever go there? I'm taking my life and my health and my safety and my welfare in my hands.
Yeah, no.
It was a cool little bar. It was the very definition of a dive bar indeed. And a band that is, I think, still playing in St. Louis, even though they're 1,000 years old, a Grateful Dead cover band, famous Grateful Dead St. Louis cover band by the name of Jake's Leg, played every Thanksgiving Eve at 20 North.
Yep.
And 20 North was this little ramshackle old building that looked like if you pushed really hard on one of the walls, it would absolutely cave over and implode in itself. But it had cold, cheap beer, a great band, and a great time before Thanksgiving.
Those are some of the best places. So we have a very similar tradition. There's a band of guys from my high school class called the Hula Poppers. And they play around St. Louis, not just on Thanksgiving Eve, but on Thanksgiving Eve. It has been their tradition for years, probably coming up on 20 years, to play at a local establishment. They've been at Sky Music Lounge on Thanksgiving Eve now for years and years and years. And they do that. They're doing that again this year. That is a great opportunity for, friends of mine from high school, come back in town. Everybody gets together. Everybody knows you're going to be out celebrating with the Hula Poppers on Thanksgiving Eve.
What kind of music do they play?
Covers, a lot of 80s tunes, a lot of 90s rockers. Nothing original, but all the kinds of stuff that gets you like up on your feet and dancing and wanting to kind of, it's nostalgic.
Absolutely.
So we are kids of the 80s. So we just, it's just a great time to get together and have some fun.
So after you had a cold 1 or 2 or 12 at your favorite watering hole,
only if I had a driver.
Indeed. Would you then go out and eat somewhere afterwards? Was that part of the tradition?
That has not been part of the tradition for a long time.
I meant back in the day.
Yeah.
Because we did. We had our favorite spots down in the city we'd go to. Some of them are also unfortunately gone now. And we would always order the St. Louis staple, the Slinger.
The Slinger.
And we'd either go to Courtesy Diner, the original, down on Vanaventer maybe, or Kings Highway.
Okay.
And then there was another place that was even, we were probably more taking our lives into our hands, called Irv's Good Food.
Oh, wait, I remember that.
That was on Vandeventer. I remember.
Okay.
Just down the road from 20 North.
Yeah. My days of late night, early morning feasting.
No, I'm going way back here.
I know. I'm saying, like, they're so far in the rearview mirror. I don't really remember doing that as much.
Nothing better than chili eggs and toast with jelly at 2 a.m.
Right. Because then when you wake up the next morning, you feel fantastic.
You do indeed.
Fantastic.
And of
right?
course, the other favorite spot I hit on the way home, the good old Whitey's Burgers.
Yeah, well, that is classic, and that's convenient. You can just go through the drive-thru, grab them, and go home. And then you wake up the next day and find the empty containers everywhere.
Yeah,
and you're like, what did I do?
And that is something that's always regrettable.
I'm only reporting what others have reported to me. I am not speaking from personal experience.
Neither confirm nor deny these rumors.
You got any fun Thanksgiving traditions?
No, we're pretty basic.
Basic. Well, that's okay. Basic's good.
We get together, and sometimes we'll play apples to apples because it's a little bit more of
love that.
We'll play some family friendly versions of Cards Against Humanity.
I love that.
Then inevitably the people that all make it clear no politics at the dinner table start talking about politics. So.
Of course you do.
Of course, it's the ones who protest the most who get involved in it. I've gotten very good at just saying, you know what, we're just gonna not talk.
We often crap on the city of St. Louis, so I'll say a positive thing here in honor of Thanksgiving. One thing that we always do in or around the Thanksgiving holiday is we make a trip down to the Garden Glow at the Botanical Gardens.
That's great.
And we are doing that this year on Friday night for sure. And very much looking forward to that. Remind you again of the nostalgic days of old and remind you that the city of St. Louis was once great and it can be great again.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Blizzard warnings posted for parts of the upper Midwest where heavy snow is expected over the next few days. It's not good news for Thanksgiving travelers. There's also snow in the forecast for portions of Ohio and western New York State. The northern plains seeing some very heavy snow. It's making the roads hazardous, closing some interstates as well. The airport's packed with holiday travelers, but despite the heavy weather, things are moving relatively trouble-free so far today. Presidential envoy Steve Witkoff plans to visit Moscow next week for talks aimed at finally ending the war in Ukraine. This, as President Trump claims, tremendous progress in efforts to stop the bloodshed.
The president said his plan to end the war has been fine-tuned following recent negotiations with both sides. He announced on social media that he's sending envoy Steve Witkoff to meet with Russian President Putin and Army Secretary Dan Driscoll to meet with Ukrainian officials. He suggested he might meet soon with the Russian and Ukrainian presidents, but only when the deal to the war is final or in its final stages. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The death toll continues to rise, now at 13 in Hong Kong, where fire has engulfed multiple high-rise buildings in a densely populated housing complex.
Video from the scene shows at least 5 buildings close to each other ablaze. Firefighters were aiming water at the intense flames from high up on ladder trucks. The raging fire sent up a column of flames and thick smoke as it spread on bamboo scaffolding and construction netting that had been set up around the exterior of the complex in the city's Tai Po district. Records show the housing complex consists of 8 blocks housing almost 2,000 apartments. I'm Charles Dilladesma.
Dow futures up 94 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 113. Townhall.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-289-6016. That's 800-289-6016. 800-289-6016.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Going to be in for a gusty and cool day with temperatures back towards the lower 40s, but feels like going to be stuck towards the lower 20s with wind gusts out of the northwest up to 35 miles per hour. Looking mostly sunny for Thanksgiving Thursday, a high of 41 degrees. Friday, mostly cloudy, 38. Then we're going to be seeing late Friday night into Saturday, a chance for snow, switching back over to rain. Temperatures going to be a little bit chillier towards the upper 30s this weekend. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again. because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
When water troubles strike, call the family you can trust. Tim Jones here for Ambassador Plumbing, serving our community since 2018 with 25 years of master plumbing expertise from Tim Morris and his handpicked team. Whether it's a simple faucet repair or a complete bathroom remodel, if water runs to it or through it, they do it. From residential service calls to commercial to new construction, the folks at Ambassador are your neighbors treating you like family. Ambassador Plumbing, where faith meets craftsmanship. 636-383-6932 or ambassadorplumbing.com. That's ambassadorplumbing.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Shut this sucker down.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
You're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
Before we're served, shouldn't we say grace?
In the year 1621, the Pilgrims held their first Thanksgiving feast. They invited the great Indian chief, Massasoit, who brought 90 of his brave Indians and a great abundance of food. Governor William Bradford and Captain Miles Standish were honored guests. Elder William Brewster, who was a minister, said a prayer that went something like this. We thank God for our homes and our food and our safety in a new land. We thank God for the opportunity to create a new world with freedom and justice.
Amen.
And that's what Thanksgiving is all about, Charlie Brown. Yeah, good morning, my morning people. Welcome back to 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning, and you got to put up with yours truly and producer Jerome for the final hour of the show before we turn things over to the great Vic Porcelli and Ken Williams. How you doing today, Jerome?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. And I got to say, I did not really grow up on peanuts like that, but that really just touches the spirit a little bit.
I'll tell you what, one of the best things that a kid can do is watch the holiday specials in and around the peanuts. One of the most wholesome things. It's why the left, Jerome, doesn't want you to know about peanuts anymore, because that cartoon encapsulates so much of what is great about the foundations and the founding principles of this nation. Things like thanking God. Like, okay, so today's Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Eve. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. What do we thank? Who are we thanking? Why are we thanking them? And what are we thanking them for? To the left, it's just, oh, yeah, we get the day off and we'll maybe eat a bunch and then start going back to crapping on people again by Black Friday. So, you know, it's the idea that we are a nation of different people from different places, united in a common mission and purpose.
Yeah, that's something I've really been wondering is what do leftists do on Thanksgiving? Because we are thankful for having such a great nation. They hate America. We're thankful for friends, family, and God. And they apparently are very resentful of their family, and they definitely don't like God. So I would say it feels incredibly great as a conservative to celebrate Thanksgiving and to be able to share that experience with so many amazing people. But if you're on the left, I mean, what do you really have to be thankful for then?
Well, and I think ultimately, I'm sorry to say this, the anti-American party, which is today's Democratic Party, hates America. And they don't like the things we were founded upon. They pejoritize everything, right? Everything's a pejorative to them. Mm-hmm. The founding of the nation is a pejorative to them. The founding fathers and mothers is a pejorative to them. It's a negative thing. It's something to be maligned. It's something to be attacked. It's something to be abhorred. Judeo-Christian principles, right? And look, I don't say these things to the exclusion of other things, right? If you happen to be a practicing Buddhist or Hindu or Muslim, then I am absolutely and completely accepting and fine with that, as long as you're also fine with acknowledging how we all got here and created this incredible experiment of constitutional governance and a democratic republic in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is my point, versus eradicating it because it's in your mind some patriarchal, racial, xenophobic, Christian nationalist construct, none of which is true.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, going back to the first Thanksgiving, not all the Native Americans that were there that were sitting at the table were Christians. I mean, they had their own sort of philosophy. I don't mind somebody having a different belief system and coming to my table and eating with me as long as we can agree that we need to be making this country better together. And I just don't see that. I know so many miserable people, some of which unfortunately are going to be at my Thanksgiving.
God bless you, Jerome.
I know, and it's going to be interesting because last year I couldn't make it to Thanksgiving, so this is really the first year where I've really been doing this, doing the news talk thing and being back home with people that are absolutely obsessed with, as Larry Connors calls it, the CNN, and that sort of mindset. And it's just, I'm still thankful though that we live somewhere where people can have that sort of different ideology and still be saying, well, we're still going to be at Thanksgiving. We're at least going to see how it goes.
And Jerome, you just hit the nail on the head right there. How wonderful is it that we can be thankful for what you and I are doing right now at this very moment? You and I are on FCC public airwaves expressing our opinions without any fear that the stormtroopers are going to knock down the door and drag us off into some sort of leftist communist gulag. That could be the future in New York City. Hopefully not, and hopefully never anywhere in this nation. But right now, Jerome, we can be thankful that we still have the freedom and liberty to do that. Jerome, the whole reason people came to this country in the first place, another thing we should be thankful for and remind people of, and I hope they still teach this in school at all levels, is that people risked life and limb to cross a vast ocean in tiny little wooden ships that had no business making such journeys, which is why I do believe there is some sort of manifest destiny, the hand of God, on those folks back in the 1600s to escape tyranny and to live out a life of economic freedom and religious liberty. Again, you notice I didn't say Christian liberty. Now, I do believe we are founded on Judeo-Christian principles.
Oh, absolutely.
But you have the ability and the freedom to subscribe to whatever religion you want. And you also should have the freedom to enjoy the fruits of your labor without, as Kami Mandami said, the government controlling the means of production. He literally said those words. And I don't know if people, I think people hear those things and they just, it goes over their heads or they don't quite catch it. That is a very specific phrase that comes from Soviet-era Bolshevism.
Yep.
Where the state owns the means of production. So when someone like Mandami, who is going to be an elected official of one of our nation's once mightiest cities, and I hope it once again is, says, eventually we'll get around to controlling the means of production. He said that in an offhand manner in an interview, and you can look it up. The words were mentioned. When he says that, number one, he's absolutely serious about it and intends to try to make it so. But number two, that is one of the principal planks and pillars, not just of socialism, but of Marxist communism. It truly is. Read the Communist Manifesto like I did back in my college days, and you will find that that is a principle, probably not even chapter, but an ongoing thesis of Marx's works.
Yeah, and then even going into Das Kapital with Marx, and he's sitting there talking about how profits is evil, it's exploitative, it's and it's like, no, how do you think you become a thriving society? Is that you work and you benefit from not only your own labor, but if you are able to employ people, you provide them a great way of life. And it's just ironic to me because if you look at a lot of what the early pilgrims and settlers from Germany and Holland and all the other European places were, they had a feudalist system. You worked a plot of land. The lord of your land showed up and said, hey, thanks for the taxes. Thanks for the food. Now I'll leave you alone. Go back to whatever you peasants are doing. And they said, okay, well, this is very clearly not a very good way of doing things. Let's get on the ship and try to go to the new world, and let's go see what life we can make for ourselves. And that is the entire foundation of a lot of what was outlined in the founding of our nation. And then to have people say, well, let's go ahead and elect and invite socialists in, people that act no different than feudal lords, that want to be entitled to the fruits of your labor. And let's go ahead and elect the mayor. Let's go ahead and try to get them to be governors. Let's get them in the Senate and the Congress. And we see that with people like Bernie Sanders and AOC and Mandami. And it's ridiculous that look at everything that the accumulation of our forefathers have worked together to create. And there are people out there, a sad large amount of people, Democrats, that want to destroy it all and punish everybody for having a thriving nation.
And Jerome, what really bothers me is many of these people, although completely misguided and maybe some with evil intent in their hearts, are not stupid people, right? They're not stupid. They should know why a system of socialism, which always eventually leads into the catastrophe of communism, they should know why it doesn't work, Jerome. It works. If it works at all, it works for about 30 seconds because initially what happens is the government literally takes everyone's means of production. The individual no longer owns anything, and the government centralizes its power and then decides how everything is going to be decided. Well, because there is something to take that was created by a free market capitalist system, that for that first 30 seconds, it works, and they're able to divide the spoils and give it to everyone equally and freely. And then, Jerome, what happens is people start realizing, so wait a minute, you mean I'm going to get the same 12 rations every week that the other guy gets, no matter how hard I don't work, right? If I work really hard, I'm going to get this equal share. And if I work kind of moderately, I'm going to get this equal share. And if I don't work at all, I'm going to get this equal share. Well, that sounds like a really good deal. And then you're incentivizing people, Jerome, not to work harder, but to work lesser.
Well, and that's the most ironic thing is the saying goes from each from their ability to each according to their needs.
That's exactly right.
Well, your needs don't change regardless of your ability to produce.
Your needs are always your needs, but your abilities can definitely change up and down, and people can start realizing, oh, well, you mean my ability is to work less and I still get, so my ability is whatever I define it to be, but my needs are always the same. Well, how wonderful. It's the opposite incentive of a free market system. The free market system incentivizes you to work harder to achieve the higher ground. The socialist communist system incentivizes you to work less and receive the same stuff in return.
Exactly. Now, Righty Wright points out, seems leftists go to other people's houses for free meals on Thanksgiving, but they rarely ever help clean up afterwards.
Indeed. The wise words of Righty Wright, and we'll couple that and we'll wrap it all up with saying that socialism and communism is great until you run out of everyone else's money.
Yes.
Little play on Margaret Thatcher's famous saying. When we come back, we're going to talk about a guy that knows all about the means of production, is a huge fan of the free market system, the one and only Grover Norquist, founder and president of Americans for Tax Reform. We're going to talk to him about the tax reforms all over the country, what the one big beautiful bill will be for America in 2026. Will there be a second reconciliation bill up on Capitol Hill? And what are we going to do about these dreaded Obamacare insurance subsidies? Grover knows all, and he'll report on that next here on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Tim Jones in the Big Chair, 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Susie Moore.
You said thank you once in this entire meeting. You said thank you
on News Talk STL.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Brian Pichelle. He is the executive director of Dogs for Our Brave.
I've been very blessed to have incredible support in my life as I battled through my journey of coming back from Iraq and dealing with, PTSD and everything I saw and witnessed as a medic. Not all veterans have that type of support. And ultimately, that's why I say we are a gift of love. We are a gift. We want to be that beacon of hope.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's.
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
Place to talk. News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
If we strip out the food and add food and energy in, it becomes up 1/10. That's cooler than expected. Up 1/10 would be the lightest since it was, well, minus 1/10 last month. And if we look at what's going on, adding food, energy, and trade, we also get up 1/10. Final demand on a year-over-year perspective, up 2.7. 2.7 would equal where we were in May. To find a higher number, you're going to March when it was over 3%. If we look at food and energy, stripping those out, it becomes up 2.6, cooler than expected, 0.2 less than the rear view mirror, which was 2.8.
Yeah, once again, the great Rick Santelli of CNBC, the guy who famously took to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange many decades ago, and many credit with launching the Tea Party effort. Stop the spending, stop the spending, stop the spending. We got a guest joining us right now who knows that that's one side of the two-sided coin of cutting taxes and reducing government spending. We're going to talk to him about that. What the one big beautiful bill will mean for Americans in 2026. What the heck are we going to do with those Obamacare insurance subsidies and more? Grover Norquist, president, founder of Americans for Tax Reform. I've known Grover a long time. I'm proud to work with ATR here in the heartland. I was just with Grover last week and a lot of other great leaders from around the country and decided it was time to welcome him back to our airwaves. Grover, good morning to you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And thanks for joining us this morning.
Tim, thank you very much. You too.
Yeah, Grover, one of the biggest things that ATR, that Americans for Tax Reform, is monitoring, working on, trying to persuade Republicans not to do, is to not do something they haven't done for the last, nearly 15 years or so, and that's not be responsible for the Obamacare mess. Grover, there's a lot of pressure, I know, up on Capitol Hill to extend what I have called the Obamacare super subsidies, the gigantic giveaways to the big insurance companies that was implemented back during the COVID era that Democrats wrote into law that were supposed to expire at the end of December. Grover, where are we on this fight, and what do you think might come out of it?
Well, you outlined it perfectly. Obamacare was passed with only Democrat votes. Massive tax increases, massive spending increases, designed to fail. When you looked at it, you said, this is going to raise the cost of people's health care. It's going to make it difficult for people to have what they want. It's not going to work. It's going to get more and more expensive. They don't have as many taxes in there as they are spending money. It's going to fail. And there was actually a liberal professor somewhere who pointed out, yes, it's designed to fail because what will happen is it will fail. The Democrats assumed that they would have the House and the Senate forever because they'd got it with Obama coming in. The world would never change on them. And therefore, when it failed, they would say, you know what? The problem here is not enough money for our wonderful plan. That's why it doesn't. Remember, we were told you could keep your doctor. That was an untruth. We were told that everybody would see their premiums go down $2,500 for a family. Instead, it went up, doubled in many cases, got worse and worse. The subsidies we're talking about are to cover up the increased cost that Obamacare is putting on working men and women. Obamacare hurts working men and women. And they go, well, tell you what if we were to raise taxes and then tell people that we just not reduced their healthcare costs, but they haven't gone up quite as much. Because by the way, they're going up even if they had the subsidies. They're going up because Obamacare is such a failure. So this is really a fight about the failure of Obamacare, and the Democrats are trying to make it a fight about Why don't we give help to poor people who are being messed with? Well, they're being messed with by Obamacare. And you can't fix that without getting rid of it, or I think more likely, giving people an off-ramp. Obamacare should always stand there as something stupid that people can do if they want. It's too expensive. They make you buy kinds of health insurance that you don't need, that you can get transsexual life changes and all that sort of stuff. You can insure for that if you want to, but if you don't want to, you can't decide, no, I don't want that. So it's a heavily political decision on what constitutes healthcare. The off-ramp is, in many cases, health savings accounts, where 70 million people get their healthcare now. The costs are lower. It's more flexible. You get to decide what you want to be insured for. There are health sharing ministries. About 1.7 million Americans work through churches or groups of churches in different faiths, and they share the risk and, in effect, set up an insurance pool of their own, okay? And it's a not-for-profit. But there are some rules that the Democrats have put in because they don't like this idea of letting people have more choices. So they made it more difficult. We could, and I believe will, in the next reconciliation package, make some changes that make it easier for people of faith to organize their healthcare through their own churches and networks of other churches as one option. The problem with Obamacare is to try to tell everybody in the country there are only 3 kinds of insurance you could buy. Here's 1, 2, 3. That's it. What? What about people who are 20, who aren't the same as people who are 80, who aren't the same as people who are 60, as people who have kids, as have don't, men and women? These are all differences that people might want to insure for. People have different sets of risk. They may have set aside a pool of money they don't mind taking risk with. But government only does one size fits all. And that's the failure here. The Republicans are saying we are not going to keep digging to try and get out of the Obamacare hole. That doesn't work. Throwing more money on Obamacare does not improve anything. We did this with kindergarten through 12th grade, spending more and more money every year and not getting any better. In fact, getting worse results. You do the same thing with Obamacare. So the really good news is that there's a lot of support for doing that. There are always people inside a White House that have counter efforts. And so there are a couple of guys. There's a guy named Orrin Cass who claims to be advising and telling everybody there what to do. And he's a big spender. It's kind of like your guy, Hawley. He's always in favor of more liberal spending and higher taxes, sadly. But most Republicans aren't. I mean, Hawley's over in a corner by himself. But there were words, it was hinted that the White House might be for continuing for 2 years these massive subsidies to cover up the failure of Obamacare. Well, why would you do that? Since you know that the subsidies aren't going to solve the problem, it will still be a failure. 2 years from now, it'll now be Trump's failure, instead of Obama's failure. Trump is smarter than his idiot staffers, and evidently has put out the word that the thing that they were claiming he'd agreed to is nonsense. He does take lots of advice from lots of different people. And sadly, some people run out the door and go, he smiled at me when I said this. That means he agrees, which is not what it means. It means he heard you, and it's one of his options.
Yes.
So I think we'll end up with something that says, you know what, we're going to give people more options on healthcare. We are not going to bail out Obamacare. And there's no reason to change anything, frankly, because the quote unquote people who are being cut off from these supersized extra COVID-driven. This all came in the last several years. After COVID was over, they wanted to have these super subsidies and call them COVID subsidies for people who aren't here legally and people who are young males who could be working, perfectly healthy, choose not to. And all they have to do to get access to these is work 1 week a month, okay? You know who the Democrats are protecting? People who sit on their couch and don't work and laugh at you while they're watching TV and you go to work.
It is really amazing. Speaking to Grover Norquist, president, founder, Americans for Tax Reform, ATR.org. Grover, you heard Rick Santelli there of CNBC talking about the cooling inflation numbers in many sectors. I know you closely watched and assisted with the construction of the One Big Beautiful Bill, making those Trump first-term tax cuts permanent. Grover, I know we have a long way to go because, as you have mentioned to me many times, Biden did extraordinary damage, greater damage than anyone will want to admit to our economy. But are we turning the corner, and will the components of the One Big Beautiful Bill help us have a more prosperous 2026?
Yes. And one of the things that we do see is rather significant increases in investment.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what happened just before the boom in 2019. In 2019, 1 year after the Republican Trump tax cut passed, it took effect. You saw 6.8% growth for the median family income. Middle American family got a 6% increase, 6.8% increase in their income. That's more than the entire growth during Obama. So it's a massive, and it got stepped on by COVID, sadly. But that showed the power of lowering taxes on investing in plant and equipment. Why do we tax something when people invest it in plant and equipment as if it was income? You spend $100 million building a new factory, and they go, well, you got to pay taxes on $100 million. You go, what? We spent it. We don't have it. It's out there, and it's going to create jobs. It's for creating jobs. Nah, give us the money. We'd rather have the money. We'll spend the money better than you, says Congressman. So we are seeing some declines in inflation. And I think that with the reduction, the president's reduced the tariffs on food, and we've seen that the prices on food that is imported, fruits and other things, and coffee. We don't make a lot of coffee in the United States, and they reduced tariffs there, and that has dropped dramatically the cost for Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving costs this year, as a number of newspapers put out, is a big savings compared to previous years. But the biggest thing coming, and this is something to watch for, is the president tried to get the end of inflation being taxed. No more taxing inflation when you pay capital gains taxes, when you sell your house or your stocks or your small business that you created or a farm that somebody has or a ranch. When you sell those, you pay a very heavy tax, capital gains tax. But much of that tax is not on increased wealth that you have. It's on inflation. The 20% of the value of your house was put there magically by Biden's inflation. The house isn't. You're not 20% richer. It's funny money, and you shouldn't be. The government makes this inflation. The government shouldn't get rich off your inflation. This was what Reagan did for individual income taxes when he said all the brackets. When you make more money, you get put into a higher tax bracket. Well, it used to be before Reagan. When inflation hit, you got put into a higher tax bracket. So you're paying a higher tax percentage. Oh, now you're rich. Wait a minute, I'm making the same amount of money. Yeah, but it's inflated, and you're paying taxes on inflation. So what they're looking to do is through a rulemaking procedure. It's not, you don't need Congress to vote for it. You simply say we are excluding inflation from what's taxed on capital gains. That means when you sell your house, it's worth a lot more to you because you get to keep more of what you sell it for. They don't tax the inflation part or a small business. This will be a tremendous boon to the economy and increase the wealth in the United States by trillions of dollars because everything you own is worth more with a lower capital gains tax.
That would
your
be
house, your land, your stocks, small business.
That would be wonderful news indeed. Grover, would you have time to hold over for one more segment? I would love to ask you about.
Absolutely.
Yes, excellent. I want to ask you about all the tax cut efforts here in the Midwest and the fact that Missouri is thinking about getting on their horse as well with that. What should we do?
Great.
What should we do and how should we do it? So we'll continue our discussion with Grover Norquist of Americans for Tax Reform right after these quick messages. We're going to talk about income tax cuts, property tax reform here in the Show Me State and how Missouri legislators should do it. When we come back with Grover Norquist of ATR here on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, 101.9, 94.1, News Talk STL.
Tim Jones on Mike Ferguson in the Morning
This is going to be just like senior year, except for funner.
on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Going to be in for a gusty and cool day with temperatures back towards the lower 40s, but feels like Going to be stuck towards the lower 20s with wind gusts out of the northwest up to 35 miles per hour. Looking mostly sunny for Thanksgiving Thursday, high of 41 degrees. Friday, mostly cloudy, 38. Then we're going to be seeing late Friday night into Saturday, a chance for snow, switching back over to rain. Temperatures going to be a little bit chillier towards the upper 30s this weekend. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Couch.
News commentary with Guy Benson. Next.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. You'll find exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 50% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo.
Here's Guy Benson.
If Republicans want to have a better than expected midterm, having just won the presidency and the trifecta last year, they're going to have to alter the trajectory of the way things are going right now. And they are also, hear me on this, they are also going to need to convince their base, their voters, Trump supporters who don't necessarily always participate in elections. They're going to have to convince a huge chunk of them to participate next year and not stay home and not blow it off and say, well, maybe when there's another presidential, we'll get around to it. That mentality will not be acceptable if the Republicans are going to have even a decent salvage election next year. That's my opinion. That's my analysis.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you'll be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriati's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Why have we sat around for 5 months and not started on the second reconciliation bill? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, in my opinion, and really, I'm just making an observation. To me, it's a 12-piece bucket of stupid not to do another reconciliation bill and to waste 5 months before we even start on a second reconciliation bill, assuming that we get started tomorrow. I mean, humans are supposed to have evolved as a species. Why would we not do a second reconciliation bill?
got one of the master wordsmiths there up in the big deep swamp in Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. And we've got one of them on the line with us as well. Grover Norquist, president, founder of Americans for Tax Reform, ATR.org. We are going to talk about what Missouri should do on the tax cut and reform front in just a second. But Grover, Senator Kennedy's right, isn't he? That the Congress needs to kind of get on with it if they're going to even have hopes of getting a second reconciliation bill across the finish line before the August recess next year, when they basically take the entire month off and then don't do anything until the midterms.
The senator has several reasons to be confused. Originally, they were going to have two more. You can, under the rules, legally, have one this fall. We could have done one in November, and you could do one in the spring. And the only time you can pass legislation on spending and taxes without getting Democrat votes, and there are no Democrat votes to reduce spending, and there are no Democrat votes to reduce taxes. They just aren't. They're not. There aren't any moderate Democrats who would vote against to lower taxes or to reduce spending. Zero, none. So you have to use them. And for some reason, I know the House was very excited about doing two. We need to do health savings accounts, which gives you an option to get out of Obamacare, which costs less and gives you more control over your life. That needs to be done through reconciliation. That should have been done this fall. The bills were written. We just didn't have room for them in the last bill, for crying out loud. So there is a need to do that. Ending the tax on inflation is one of the things that you could do. But again, that would require Democrat votes because it's a change in to do it legislatively. You can do it through a rule change at Treasury. There are a bunch. We double tax Americans who work overseas. If you go overseas for a couple of years and work, you pay French taxes and American taxes. But if you're French and you come to the United States and work for 2 years, you pay American taxes. You don't pay French taxes. We double penalize Americans who work abroad, and that's not bad. That is bad. That is not good for the American economy. We want more Americans working everywhere, not just here, but in the world too.
Grover, you have been closely watching our tax cut and reform efforts here in the Show Me State, here in Missouri, ever since you assisted me when I was in the legislature in cutting Missouri's income tax for the first time ever in our state's history back in 2014. Grover, that was a great accomplishment, but Missouri is now starting to fall behind, aren't we, Grover? Because there's been a Midwest renaissance of tax cutters from Iowa down to Arkansas, over to Kansas, even with the Democratic governor, Oklahoma. Of course, Tennessee had no income tax and has removed other taxes. Kentucky, I could go on and on. Grover, it's really important for Missouri to continue to cut its income taxes, reform its system, and that will lead to greater prosperity and productivity, won't it?
It will. Right now, there are 8 states, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, and others, 8 states that have no personal income tax. There are 16 states that have a single rate tax, which makes it hard to raise because you have to raise everyone's tax at once. Makes it easy to reduce because then everyone goes, oh, we're all going from 4 to 3.5. Got it. Takes envy off the table. There are 5 states that have passed laws that will automatically take them to zero without any further passing laws. Oklahoma is one of those. Mississippi is one of those. Kentucky is one of those. Indiana is one. So is West Virginia. Iowa is on the path to go to zero. Their top rate was 8.6. Now the single rate, everybody pays 3.8. But everything's gone down, and they're on the way to zero. They're committed to get to zero. Kansas is in the middle of passing. They passed the bill to go to a single rate tax. Take them a couple of years, and they'll get down to single rate. Oklahoma is also on the rate of single rate automatically, but then to zero automatically. And I'm working with the nice people in Arkansas, where the governor there was elected, as was your governor, with a commitment to go to zero on the state income tax. And she's cut taxes every time she's had an opportunity to. This year, it looks like we may go to a single rate tax and then begin the march to click down towards zero. Arkansas, right underneath Missouri. Tennessee, as you point out, is not only no income tax, they're busy cutting other taxes. Illinois next door, which is really awful on many things, their income tax is just under 5%, which is not good, but it's half of New York. It's a third of California because they have a flat rate income tax.
Yes.
And they're scared to raise taxes on everyone at once. But I know your governor campaigned on going to a single rate. I heard him speak the day he got elected, and said we're going to get to it. We're going to get to a zero, get down to zero. I'm really looking forward to working with you and all the legislators and people in Missouri, because Missouri moving to a single rate tax and then to zero. And just, we need to remind people, this is not cut the income tax, raise some other tax. What all these states are doing is they're saying, as revenue comes in above a base level of the growth of the inflation plus growth of population, when more than that comes in, then that money is used not to spend and create permanent indebtedness. That money is used to bring the tax rate down, and it goes down every time. They've been clicking down in North Carolina for 12 years. They started first. They were very careful, probably more careful than they had to be, but I'm very glad they were so careful, because everybody can see how it worked. And Iowa looked at it and said, we can do that, but we can do it much faster than they did, because we've watched them do it. And we're not the first guy to ever do this. And so other states have learned. There are 12 states where, and I include Missouri, where the governor and the legislative leadership has said, yes, we're going to go to zero. This is what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very important commitment for the governor to say, this is what we're up to. That's where it begins in every other state. The governor, the head of the House or the Senate said, this is where we're going. And as soon as you enunciate it, people go, that would make us competitive. I mean, once a country, Trump says everyone should invest in America. That's good, but America's got 50 states. So when the king of Saudi Arabia says we want to invest money in the United States, he's now got 50 decisions to make.
Yes.
Each state.
Yes, indeed.
And that's where taking income taxes down and showing to people that you're going to zero is extremely powerful.
It is indeed. Cut the taxes, reduce and control the spending. It's the path to prosperity for all Missourians. Grover, thanks so much for all the time today. We appreciate it. I know our listeners do as well. We're thankful for you and all the great folks at ATR, Americans for Tax Reform, ATR.org. Grover, have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Absolutely. And if you do ATR.org/tax maps, then everything we just talked about, you can see on a big map. ATR.org/tax maps.
Yes, the color-coded tax maps are absolutely fantastic. ATR.org/tax maps. At Grover Norquist on Twitter X. Grover, thanks for everything.
Thank you, Tim.
Indeed. 8:46 in the AM. My goodness, producer Jerome and I only have one segment left. We will entice you, we will entail you, we will regale you with all kinds of Thanksgiving thankfulness when we come back, before we hand you off to the one and only Vic Porcelli here on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tim Jones on Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
It is like rantings in Cran by somebody having an LSD trip.
On News Talk STL.
St. Louis, it's here. The bigger than Black Friday at Renewal by Anderson. For a limited time, get the biggest dollars off savings of 2025. $330 off every window. $830 off every patio or entry door. Plus, you may have no payments and zero interest. Renewal by Anderson. Unprecedented winner of the prestigious J.D. Power Award for customers 6 years in a row. Renewal by Anderson, full-service window and door replacement division of Anderson, a name you've trusted for more than 122 years. $330 off every window, $830 off every patio or entry door. Schedule your consultation today at rbastl.com or call 877-WINDOWS, 877-WINDOWS. Renewal by Anderson, award-winning quality, bigger savings, smarter investment.
SR1 Sundays.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Kaiser. Be sure and check out my show, Straight Lines, this and every Sunday at 8 p.m., right after Stand and Fight, part of SR1 Sundays. Let's meet right here and let's peel back some layers of this crazy world, and you might be surprised at what we find. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on SR1 Sundays at 8 p.m., right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on News Talk STL.
Hello, Kirk Hilsinger, Chairman of the Republican Party, City of St. Louis. Join us for our Christmas party on December 11th. Tickets may be purchased by cash or check, or you may purchase tickets through our website at stl-gop.com. We'll have dinner and silent auction. In addition, we will be collecting donations for Toys for Tots. So bring an unwrapped toy for a family in need. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we look forward to fighting for you in 2026.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Colombo and Company.
State Rep Justin Sparks is the latest Missouri politician to join the Trump administration. We'll discuss the state's influence Wednesday with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd, and we'll open closest cabinet.
Live and local, weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
The perfect body, the perfect face. It's like God's best work, all in one place. For the haters ain't perfection, can't you say? It's a burden being wonderful like me.
Hey, it's Vic and Ken. We're on every Monday through Friday on News Talk STL. Kenny, how are you?
I'm good.
You know, you got to be some kind of weirdo to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do radio.
You do, believe me.
And that weirdo is Mike Ferguson in the morning show on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh.
But let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but certainly there are some legal gymnastics that are going on with these Caribbean strikes and everything related to Venezuela.
So basically, the Democrats are hyperventilating and lighting their hair on fire and running around hysterical about Trump's, quote, unlawful orders. But, Jerome, they can't detail any unlawful orders that have actually been given.
Yeah, if you're going to accuse somebody of doing something illegal, not only saying it's illegal, but then going on making a video saying resist illegal orders, you probably should be in cahoots with everybody saying, well, here's what actually is illegal so we can tell the public what we mean by that.
This is my problem with all of these politically based and politically motivated vacuous, there's your SAT word for the day, vacuous Trojan horses.
Yes.
They have no public policy intent or purpose behind them. They're merely meant as political talking points that lead ultimately to nothing. And early in the show, I know I surprised you a little bit about my comment about the Epstein files. That's my point about the Epstein files. If there was something we were going to learn from them, or there was something that we were going to maybe make society better with, Jerome, my fear is now that we've literally passed an act of Congress to, quote, release the Epstein files, we're never going to hear about it again. You know why? Because there's nothing actually in it that's bad for Trump. And that's the specter that they use, the specter of there might possibly be something in the unreleased Epstein files, because we already had 50,000 pages of them released. But there might be something else that we can use to beat Trump with over the head, knowing or maybe not knowing if that was true or not. And now that they've been released, we may learn, Jerome, we who actually study and sift through this, about the fact that, there's rich and powerful people who are absolutely perverts. But that won't be discussed, and we won't learn anything from it because there won't be some damning evidence about Trump. So that's my problem with it, is these things are always used as giant political talking points cudgels because it is the specter that there might be something there. And then once that they're released or once they're discussed or ferreted out, nothing ever happens and it just goes away. That's my problem with it.
Now, if you want to listen to the fist fight Tim Jones and I had over the Epstein files this morning, it'll be available up on the podcast in a little bit. But
you did that very well.
Thank you.
That's why people should download our podcast wherever they find podcasts, whether it's the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show, Tim Jones and Chris Harps, Vic Porcelli, Colombo and Company, Larry Connors USA, or any of our other weekend programming. It's all there wherever you get podcasts.
Absolutely. Now, to your point, though, absolutely. Those of us that have been nerding out about this and keeping track of the narrative changes and keeping track of what gets released. I mean, you look at the flight logs that have been publicly available since 2019, lots of Democrats, lots of Democrat donors. You look at the little black book that was released, lots of Democrats,
Larry
donors.
Summers, the Democrats' life was just ruined a couple weeks ago. And so he was taken off all the boards and released from a bunch of contracts. I didn't see much of that reported on CNN or MS Now or whatever they call themselves.
Exactly. And that's sort of, I guess, the residual thing is I don't want Democrats to get their act together, because it is kind of funny watching them, piranha-rise, that's not even a word, being piranhas against themselves, but at the same time, cannibalize. Yes. I didn't want to put that image in with Thanksgiving, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
it happened.
Yeah, that was Tim Jones, not me. But when it comes to the way of, we are literally trying to make such a big deal to make Trump look bad, that we are essentially, when this all comes to fruition, we're going to see a lot more of the Democrats than probably anybody on the right. And then on top of that,
and will it get reported?
Exactly.
What is the epilogue to all of this? What is the conclusion? Okay, they've been released. Ta-da! Now what?
Exactly. And it's not going to change anybody's mind, because and this is what really, really makes me sad about the Democratic Party, is it's one thing for politicians to go out and say, orange mad bad, I'm not Trump, vote for me. Okay, fine. But for people to say, that works on me, they're not orange mad is bad, I'm going to vote for it. That is the part where it's an issue. So when it comes out that whatever goes on, and I don't believe that President Trump was involved with the actual abuse of the minors, but at the end of the day, when it all comes out that the people on their side are all are being implemented in these files, and then we're complicit with the abuse, I don't think a lot of Democrats, if any, are going to change their minds about what am I doing? What am I voting for? What am I supporting here? Because I am so deranged that not being Trump and being able to say orange mad bad is more important to me than actually having a party with policies that I can actually get behind and support.
That's exactly the point. And it proves the points that, number one, the Democrats have no good public policy ideas, because everything they do these days seems to be based around, focused entirely upon political talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Political talking points can be great if they lead to some good public policy outcome. But if they're just in and of themselves political talking points that lead to the road to nowhere, then what's the point of spending time on it in the first place, right? Like I said, it becomes empty. It becomes vacuous. It becomes literally the road and the bridge to nowhere. And that's why my second point is, these days, when these types of issues come up, whether it's the Epstein files, whether it's the unlawful orders of the commander-in-chief, you should always do one thing first, and that is question the premise of the question itself. So you don't get led down the primrose path into something that you shouldn't agree with in the first place. So Trump has issued unlawful orders. Everyone goes, oh my God, we have to stop. 25th Amendment, impeach him. Dude, whoa, stop right there. What unlawful orders has he issued? Well, that's really beside the point. No, that is the point. And therefore you have no point, because you cannot state with specificity or particularity or with any certainty whatsoever that he issued unlawful orders in the first place.
But didn't he illegally deploy the National Guard to D.C.? Oh wait, no, that's federal territory. He has authority to do that. But ICE, they're rounding everybody up. Those are illegal immigrants, and our immigration laws have been on the books for about 100 years now, even before President Trump was born. So I mean, yeah, I don't get it. How are you going to do this grandstanding, we're resisting tyranny thing, but you can't cite any actual tyranny or unlawful orders?
It's because, for the most part, most of the big things that Trump has tackled are things that are extremely popular with the American people: stopping men and women's sports, ending the law and disorder on America's streets, in stopping the invasion at the border. Those are the big, giant 80% issues that Trump has glommed onto. And therefore, the left has to try to stop them, because if they don't, then their entire narrative means nothing.
I need a second to reflect on that.
And that's why Jerome will be thankful that he is the president, despite what people may or may not like or dislike about him. Better him than anyone on the lunatic left. And that's why we're thankful, Jerome, to live in this great land of freedom and liberty.
And I'm thankful for all of you at the News Talk family, as well as all of our extended family that are in the audience and help us out with all of our great events. So
yes, indeed. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving. I'll be back in the 10 o'clock hour to visit a little bit with Vic and Ken. And then, of course, Tim Jones, Chris Arp Show, 4 to 6 p.m. Keep it right here. Lots more straight ahead on this Thanksgiving Eve, 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have?
Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection.